good evening from the north, from Scotland, the home of Scottish motorsport. This is Knockhill, and this is the Next Gen Racing MX-5 Cup, round 2 of Season 2. We did the 12-round championship last season, and we've got another 10-round championship to take you on this time around. Second round of the championship after a thrilling opening round last Monday at the Red Bull Ring. Welcome along, ladies and gentlemen, whether you're watching on Facebook on Next Gen Racing TV, or whether you're watching on YouTube and Twitch on Crest Autosport TV. Welcome along to tonight's race. Welcome along to the journey we're going to go on this season. Here in Knockhill tonight, as we mentioned, the very simplistic track that Knockhill is, but it's not so simple to drive. Bumps and crests, high curbs, and very tricky corners to negotiate for these drivers tonight. The home of Scottish motorsport in Fife, Scotland, about 20 miles northwest of Edinburgh and 40 miles northeast of Glasgow. Track first opened in 1974. And a little bit of trivia, we did this last time, and I've got it in my notes, so I'll mention it again. I think Paul actually mentioned this last time, but the Kaiser Chiefs video, if you're an indie rock music fan, Hole in My Soul was filmed here at Knockhill Racing Circuit. So there's one for the music fans out there. But speaking of the person I just mentioned, alongside me tonight, yet again, it is the house DJ for Next Gen Racing's broadcasts. He broadcasts on Tuesdays and Wednesdays and Fridays, I do believe, for Next Gen Racing, and he's alongside me here tonight. It is Paul Walsh, of course. Paul, how are you doing tonight?
Oh, doing fantastic. Thank you, Alex. And my goodness, it's that time again for Knockhill. And well, every time I hear the song Hole in My Soul, all I can imagine is 5 Honda Civic Type Rs making their way around this legendary Scottish circuit. But excited for the racing that lies ahead. And how about yourself, my good sir?
Not too bad at all. Looking forward to this. Last season was a brilliant round here. Of course, at the time, Knockhill was brand new. It had only been released days before we raced here. It was a last-minute change to throw this into the calendar because most of our racers are British-based. They're British touring car fans. They're British motorsport fans, and Knockhill is one of the crowning jewels of British motorsport. It's quite unique, Knockhill, in that there's actually two variations of the circuit, in that you run the forward track that we see most commonly with British touring cars, of course, and how we're running it today, but also it's a track that gets run in reverse as well. So instead of the turn 9 hairpin being the final corner, it's the first corner for other series. For example, I believe TCR UK run the backwards variation of this circuit once. They're very fond of rallycross up here. They have a rallycross circuit on at the Knockhill facility, and they also like their rallying up here. You can do what's called a Targa rally here at Knockhill Racing Circuit as part of the British Targa Rally Championship. So it is a very popular facility here, is Knockhill. But here tonight, no, we're not racing Honda Civics like the Kaiser Chiefs were. We are racing MX-5s, and this is the second round of the championship. So without further ado, we'll head into the championship standings as they are heading out of round 1. And how did round 1 go for the pro category? Well, it is Liam McNeilly at the top of the standings at the moment. He took second place in qualifying, but he scored wins in races 1 and 2. Race 3 didn't go so well for him, so actually cut the deficit a little bit, but he still stays top of the standings, as we half expected, as we saw Liam McNeilly dominate a lot of the races at the latter part of last season, but he didn't take part in enough rounds to take the championship. Chris Staines, second place. Of course, Chris Staines is a very popular character on Wednesday night. The Next Gen Proto GT3 League in the LMP class, he is dominating it at the moment, and Chris Staines sits second in the championship, just 4 points behind Liam McNeilly. Mikey Doble, triple champion. The Andy Priel of the series, I do keep saying it, but he's sitting there very nicely on 56 points. He got 2 top 3s last time out at Red Bull Ring, and he showed yet again why he is always a championship contender. Dan Skinner was the second winner of last week's round. Dan Skinner winning in the third race. He sits very happy in 4th place in the standings. Rob Mcgregor, now he was actually promoted in between Red Bull Ring and here today at Knockhill from the AM category to the Pro category. And even though he was promoted from one category to the other, he still sits 5th in the championship in this category, just ahead of Aidan Wilson, his teammate, in 6th place there of HSR. Jamie Dory, our league host, sits 7th in the championship for Next Gen Racing. He'll be hoping for a better round this time around, but he did get a good 3rd place in race 3 last time out. Nick Clibbens sits 8th position ahead of William Chadwick, who didn't have much luck last time out, but we know what William Chadwick can do in this series in these cars. And rounding off the top 10 is John Higgins Jr. of HSR. Adam Delmont had a good second race last time out, but remember interviewing him, he was bitterly disappointed with his round last time out, and he'd be looking for a bit of redemption this time around in Knockhill, one of his favourite tracks he mentioned. James Warrior, another driver promoted from AM category to Pro category, he sits 12th in the standings, with Michael Leeson 13th, Wayne Douglas 14th, Lee Horn, the outgoing Pro-Am category champion from last season, and Marcello Pagnan, who only took part in one race and didn't actually finish that race, he sits at the bottom of the Pro category standings in 16th. But what about the AM category championship standings, Paul?
Well, meanwhile, in the AM class, and thank you, Alex, it is the case that Sam Smith leads on 71 points after the season open there. The Simtech Excite racing driver put in a very strong performance and making a clear statement that he wants to maintain that championship lead as we go deeper into the season. His next rival, James Clark, there on 53 points. The Mccain, Lively and Clark racing driver there, putting in a strong result, but Ollie Peters as well, taking the fight to the Crest Autosport with Apex Track driver, although Ollie Peters seeing some bad luck and misfortune hold him at bay with what could have been some stellar results and put him right up there at the top. Still, we'll wait and see what he can achieve here tonight. Jeff Perkins there on 46 points, only 2 ahead of John Carlos Schooler in at P5, and it is the case that's our top 5 there, and from top to the P5 position, it is the case at less than 30 points separated, and you can imagine things could turn very quickly here tonight, depending on the way the results go in each of the races. Matthew Addy there, P6 on 42 points, the Next Gen Racing Team Blue driver, with Alan McCain in at P7 there on 40 points, joint 40 points with Nigel Stock, but ahead on result countback, and Nigel Stock, the Crest Autosport with Apex Track drivers, getting his season campaign off to a relatively good start, but I think leaving a lot out on the table and wanting to come back stronger tonight. Paul Scott there on 39 points, joint 39 points with Thomas Delaney, and it is the case only ahead on countback, with Delaney completing our top 10, and there's Jamie Nicholson ahead of John Higgins Senior there, completing your top 12, and the rest are drivers who were not able to take part or put in a result last week, all on 0 points, and that is Brandon Lively, Bud Dobson, Craig Cockrell, Jonathan Gibbs, Mark Anthony McLaughlin, and also Mark Arrowsmith there, our 18 Pro-Am driver. Well, we used to call them Pro-Am, but I should clarify, we're now referring to them as Am drivers for the rest of the season. We thought we'd simplify the naming convention of the classes, so that way we do not keep referring to the two classes by Pro, and then for the Pro-Ams it would be Pro-Am. Now they're just known as the Ams, and that is how the Am standings is going into round number 2.
And we have one more championship standing table to show you. This season, unlike last season, we are having a teams championship, which is very, very exciting indeed. So the way this works in each round is each team can have up to 3 drivers in their team, and the top 2 drivers in each race contribute points to the team. So last time out, Fordzilla with a very, very good start to their campaign as the team forming of Liam McNeilly and William Chadwick. They're on 284 points, but only 1 point ahead of HSR2, which is taken up by the drivers of Aidan Wilson, James Warrior, and Rob Mcgregor. Of course, we know they had a very good meeting last time out. Simtech Excite Racing, only 3 points down from the top spot, 2 points down from second place, and Simtech Excite iRacing consists of Craig Cockrell, Nick Clibbens, and Sam Smith. Sam Smith, of course, is top of the AM category standings. Next Gen Racing Team Orange in their home championship. That consists of Adam Delmont, Jamie Dorian, Lee Horn, all 3 drivers of which all thought they could do better in the last time out at Red Bull Ring, so look out for them in this one. Mikey Doble Racing with Douglas Racing. That consists of Mikey Doble and Wayne Douglas. You guessed it, they're 5th in the standings. And 6th places consist of SVP Motorsport, Excite and GCR Racing. 7th taken up by Mccain, Lively and Clark Racing. Crest Autosport with Apex Tracks takes up the 8th spot. Once we set over into qualifying, there we go. And Next Gen Racing Team Blue, 9th position with HSR in 10th position, Evo Sim Racing with Fruity Pebbles. Rather strange team name there. 11th for them. SRC Movano, of course, with SSD Racing in 12th. Def Sim Racing in 13th. And OTR in 14th. Now, the last two there didn't take part in the Red Bull Ring, but they're here today at Knockhill, and we're hoping to be getting themselves onto that tally of the team's championship standings. So that is all the standings, and we have just started qualifying here at Knockhill. So without further ado, we'll take a look at the action here. Knockhill then, Paul. Quite an interesting track, very tricky track. Short track, the only track on the calendar that's probably going to be under a minute in length. But we can already see this car spinning off already. Very, very tricky indeed. And I tell you what, we'll get an onboard lap once everyone's calmed down a little bit from our championship leader, Liam McNeilly.
Oh, as he makes his way out of the final corner here, he's got a little bit of traffic ahead of him. And in fact, the Golf liveried MX-5 moving aside. Manini's going to be tucking in to behind. I believe that is Lee Horn in front of him as he goes onto his lap. So across the timing line there, unique feature about the timeline. We'll come on to that in a second. Making his way into turn number 1 here. The blind right hand as you go over the rise and then down to the dip through turn number 2. And Jules sliding the car through there to and into 3 as he makes his way through the right hand there, bringing the car together. Now coming through the dip into 4, the right into left into right here, and as he makes his way straight line his way through 5 and 6, that's chicane, and now charging up towards turn number 7, making his way into the right hand here, coming down the gearbox down to 2nd gear, and as he rolls on through here, now it's the curved straight, the curved back straight that leads all the way up to the final corner, which is of course the hairpin. Although as Manini makes his way on down here, it is the case. I think he might have just lifted off. I think he has aborted this lap, where he's giving that William Chadwick the toe up to the hairpin, but still we'll stay with him for the rest of this lap as he makes his way through the hairpin here, and that is a lap effectively completed, because now it's just a long run to the start finish line and that timeline. Now the unique feature about the timeline here at Knockhill, for the purposes of racing, you can see you've got the essentially what is the checker flag booth, the marshal's booth there, and the timeline is a little bit further forward of it. So you can imagine when we go racing, we actually start, if I remember correctly, at that marshal's booth, but the finish line is approximately 5 to 10 meters further up the straight, which means the race isn't quite over until they've crossed a little bit further along. I may have got mixed up, but in this case the start finish line and the timeline are not in the same place.
Yeah, it's there's a few tracks that actually do that. You see that quite often with Formula 1, actually. The Miami Grand Prix, they had it there, especially. But yeah, that's a little bit confusing with Knockhill, but thanks to Paul, I didn't actually realise that, but now you're all aware. So here we go. Plenty of times in already, which is rather surprising. It's quite easy to get an off-track penalty here, and of course if you run too far off the track, iRacing gives you what's referred to as a 1x, which invalidates your lap, and it means you have to do another one. Now luckily this is a very short track, so we're seeing drivers pop back up on that leaderboard very quickly. The likes of Chris Daines, Liam McNeilly and Adam Delmont have now put themselves on the board. Thomas Delaney in 4th place overall, first in the AM category. Brilliant opening statement from him, and he's being pushed along by the 66 car behind him of Wayne Douglas. He sits top of the AM category standings. Adam Delmont, we briefly just mentioned him, new colours in the Next Gen Racing. No more Excite for him, but he is excited to be part of Next Gen Racing, and he sits top of the standings right now. Again, looking for redemption today after a disappointing round last time out of Red Bull Ring, Paul. It was it wasn't the Adam Delmont we saw last season, where he was just so consistent and just managed to stay out of trouble for much of this season. It just seemed to go all wrong for him last time out.
Oh, indeed, Alex, and very clever pun there with regards to excitement in the case that I think Delmont had a bit too much excitement at the Red Bull Ring and just needed to settle it down. And, well, one of the key things that we saw towards the end of Season 1 of the MX-5 Cup is he really came alive in the final few rounds, particularly rounds 9 through to 12. And that was simply through the fact that he started to deliver these really strong laps, but it was the consistency that came with it and avoiding the trouble. Whereas, to be fair, season opener last time out, he wanted to continue from where he left off. He didn't, and there was a degree of irritation there. But also, we do have to consider the fact, and from his perspective, I think he might have, when he had the chance to walk away and take a breath of fresh air, I think that was the season opener. A load of new drivers on the circuit, and of course the season openers mean that everyone is a little bit rusty or a little bit raw, but now it's round 2, it's back to business, and we're already Delmont putting in a very strong provisional second place lap, only 2.5 tenths off of Higgins, but it is the case as well as we see John Higgins Jr. here for HSR1 making his way down towards turn number 1, and Chris Dane's not far behind. There's a lot of lap time to come here at Knockhill, and as we see Verano Motorsports, Dane's making his way into the Duffers Dip turn 1, we can see Liam McNeilly now going provisional pole on a 54.997, the first of our drivers to claim a 54 around here, and those lap times will keep on coming down. As we see there parked in the pit lane, I do believe the number 85 car, that is Paul Scott, waiting to come on out. He can't come out at the moment because he's got so much traffic coming on through, and that's one of the painful things here in qualifying is in terms of the slipstream factor and with the draft, because you want to pick up the draft as best as possible here as Paul Scott gets on the grass and gets the power down a little bit too early. But find yourself out of sequence, you may have to wait ages. Alternatively, you end up crowding your way up behind another driver, and that's the problem that Liam McNeilly's experiencing here as he crowds up behind Adam Delmont.
Yeah, it's one of those tracks where you're so dependent on the draft because you want to get the heavy and slow and not very aerodynamic MX-5 up these hills here, particularly this one here. So you are dependent on the draft, but you are risking ruining your lap time almost with drivers in front running slower than you, making a mistake maybe, or bumping into other traffic. There's a lot going on this track, and you can see the timing screen is just jumping all over the place right now. Ollie Peters has just taken pole in the AM category and 8th overall. Now, Ollie Peters did mention this to us last week. He was a little bit embarrassed about the race 2 spin that he had on the opening lap from pole position, but he made up for it for a win in race 3 in the category. But Ollie Peters will have a bit of a chip on his shoulder and will be looking for some good results tonight. Jeff Perkins had a good night also at Red Bull Ring, and he put himself 4th in the championship heading into tonight. He's 2nd in the standings here, and quite an appropriate livery for this track, don't you think, Paul?
Oh, indeed. I must say the 555 livery. Must say it's a very nice livery to go on the car, but is it right at Knockhill? That's the question.
Well, it's driven by a Scottish driver. Yeah, I'd say so. Absolutely. He calls himself Scooby G, does Jeff Perkins. He loves his Subarus, and it's very apt for himself and here in Scotland tonight. But speaking of Scotland, we have got Rob Mcgregor, who's just passed the Scottish drivers tribute livery there. But Rob Mcgregor on home turf. We interviewed him last week, Paul. He's very much looking forward to tonight, isn't he?
Oh, most definitely. It is the case that Rob really was keen after getting his season off to a flying start, to be fair. And, well, we talked about the fact that he was pretty much the driver and had all the worst possible luck in Season 1. Whenever he was on form or looking for a great result, it was the case that everything went wrong, and not necessarily of his own doing. In fact, most of the time, it was nothing to do with him. It just seemed as though adverse circumstances would group up. But he had an absolute cracker of a season opener, and now at his home circuit, and he was beaming with pride when he told us about the fact he was looking forward to going here tonight, and well, we'll have to wait and see how he gets on, but I think he's going to be one to watch, albeit at the moment this qualifying session a bit off the pace, albeit we've still got a lot of time to go. We've just only passed the halfway point, still got 7 minutes of this qualifying session to go, plus their final qualifying laps, and well, you can see how close those lap times are from McGregor all the way up to P1. To give you an idea, Liam McNeilly on a 54.9, meanwhile the case McGregor on a 55.9. There's a whole second between P15 and P1. That is how tight it is, and I must apologise, by the way, with regards to the livery, regarding the Triple I livery of Jeff Perkins. I had a complete mind blank, and I couldn't remember for a second that Colin McRae, in reference to that livery, was from Scotland. I don't know why. I thought he was Irish for some reason, and that is absolutely embarrassing.
Hey, if you know me, you know that I love my my rally history, and yeah, there's a slight bit of disappointment on my face after you mentioned that, Paul. But we'll let you off. The light bulb has just flicked on, so well done, mate. Well done. Right, okay, let's carry on with qualifying here. Sam Smith has taken away pole position in the AM category from Ollie Peters, but sitting at the top of the standings still by more than a quarter of a second clear of Adam Delmont is Liam McNeilly. He just can't stop, can he? And I've just realised we are missing a certain Mikey Doble right here. Mikey Doble just... I think he might have just got back from the Ginetta Cup. I think he was taking part in on the weekend, so he might be a little bit late on. He might not be able to turn up. He might be a bit busy. But yeah, it'd be a shame to not see Mikey Doble tonight, as he did go well here. He knows his track very, very well. Races here in real life quite often. But that will give Liam McNeilly a little bit of breathing space, as it might with Chris Danes. However, Chris Danes struggling here, 12th at the moment, Paul.
Indeed, and well, when I spoke to Chris prior to the season, and did mention this last time out, it is the case that he's traded in for the purposes of this series, his LMP2 Dallara P217, which he's absolutely flying in at the moment in the Proto GT3 Championship with NXTGEN Racing, and it is the case, he's now in a Mazda MX-5, a very different beast, a very blocky beast, not aerodynamically trimmed, and as a result, it is the case that the Danishman is having to really get himself up to grips in terms of how hard you've got to push this car, and in terms of the fact, with a lack of downforce, you've really got to make this car glide through the corners. And well, Danes, to be fair, whilst he is P12 at the moment, and that puts him effectively what is P10 in the class, in the pro class in this qualifying session, I think he's one of the drivers who really will grow into the car as the season goes on, and I don't think this is going to be indicative of his pace for much longer, because he will continue to move, and we saw that at the Red Bull Ring. Had a difficult qualifying session. Race 1, not too bad. Races 2 and 3, that's where he started to build that momentum, and well, as he comes into the pits now, we'll wait and see what he's got up his sleeve with just over 4 minutes remaining.
And Giancarlo Scula, yeah, we'll see what Chris Danes can do. But Giancarlo Scula here in 10th position, takes 2nd in category. Or as he just lets through, I think that was Lee Horn squeezing through.
Lee Horn.
Oh, I don't think it's either. Right, 37. Who's that? 36, sorry. Lee Horn.
Adam Delmont. 37.
Oh, it is Adam Delmont. Do excuse me. Yes, it is. I'm still getting used to Adam Delmont being in the Next Gen livery. So excited to see him in a Next Gen livery. Oh, I've got to stop doing that. Right, let's stop now. Let's move on very quickly. Yeah, Giancarlo Scula, very good so far in qualifying here with 3.5 minutes to go. He's getting a good draft from Adam Delmont as well. This will certainly help. But look back there as well. Nigel Stock is also going to be getting a good draft off these drivers ahead of him, but no drivers jump up the order just yet. We're going to see if we can get a few shuffles up and down the order. Paul Scott has put himself into 21st place and 9th in category. He'd be pleased about that, get himself on the board. Everybody has set a time in this server with 24 drivers here today, a bit less than last time out at Red Bull Ring, but here at Knockhill, 24 drivers is plenty enough, definitely. So it's Fordzilla dominating things at the top right here, right now. Fordzilla, primarily a Gran Turismo sim racing team, but they do stretch out into iRacing, and they certainly do well here, as the two drivers tend to be at the top of the standings right here in this series, both Chadwick and McNeilly, don't they, Paul? They're quite a dominant force when it comes to qualifying, especially.
Indeed, a lot of teamwork goes into their qualifying sessions. We saw it in Season 1, whereby it would be Chadwick up front normally as the pace car, and McNeilly behind and receiving the tire for Chadwick. And after they've put in a couple of laps in that configuration, they'd swap round with Liam McNeilly being the lead car, and they find themselves some space out of the circuit as we ride on board here with Chadwick, who hasn't got his teammate with him at the moment, with McNeilly coming into the pits. But to be fair, with that 1/10 of a second buffer between Chadwick and McNeilly, and then a further 1.5 tenths to Delmont in P3, I think they'll be feeling confident they can go for a front row lockout here. That'll be the target, and if they can have it that way and they can have a good start from that standing start, it's no reason why Team Fordzilla couldn't potentially be bagging a 1-2 in at least race number 1 here. But the teamwork that goes into the qualifying session, I think it's something which a lot of teams really do need to study how they can utilise that, because it's gained them massively. And as we go later into the season, we've got a lot of circuits coming up where teamwork in qualifying could be critical, and none more so, of course, than at Daytona.
Daytona, Le Mans as well. I said it at the start of the season. Alton Park is going to be draft city as well. But yeah, plenty of drafting opportunities for these drivers, as we see Will Chadwick get very wide there on entry into turn 1 there. Let's also welcome some new drivers here, as we haven't mentioned them yet. We've got Bud Dobson here of Def Sim Racing and teammate, I believe, who's taken a detour into the gravel there at turn 2, I think it was. Mark Anthony McLaughlin, welcome to the series to the pair of them, and let's see how they get on today. They've been categorised in the AM category, so let's see how they fare up against the rest of their category tonight here at Knockhill. It's quite a baptism of fire to be getting involved in a busy series like this one at such a narrow and tight track at Knockhill, but see how they get on. You need a little bit of luck at a track like this, Paul, as any instant can happen and you could find yourself well and truly up the order at any point here.
Oh, indeed. But for them, given the fact that they're looking to qualify currently P22 and P23, I think they will take it with a little bit of pride in the fact they're not quite last behind. They're ahead of Alan Mccain. But at the same time as well, if a major incident occurs into the opening couple of corners, and of course we do have our next-gen safety car on standby tonight, it will be the case that they'll be the ones to benefit from a load of MX-5s, potentially seeing the tyre barriers a little sooner than perhaps anticipate. So right now, I think for them, they won't be too worried about this qualifying result. I think they'll just be looking to ease themselves into the series. And well, we do welcome them, of course. Indeed, I think they've all been warmly received by the rest of the teams down the paddock.
And we're heading into the latter part of this session. The checkered flag is out. Drivers crossing the line. Not many are jumping up the order. Michael Lees will cross the line. He doesn't go quicker. We got second place William Chadwick. He's pulled over. But Adam Delmont, he pulls into the pit, so he will not go quicker. What about Jamie Dury? Can he get himself further up than fifth? The league host, no, he pulls over. He has had enough. He doesn't think he can go any quicker. Ollie Peters, what about him? He's coming out the final corner here right now, and he is going to complete his lap. Will he put himself to the top of, not to the top of the standings, to the top of the AM standings? No, he won't. He stays third for the moment. So a lot of drivers struggling in this latter part. What about Chris Daines? Second in the championship coming into tonight. 10th on the grid will not satisfy him, but I have read on Discord, he only bought the track today. So he's only been learning it for the last hour to 2 hours. Crosses the line, stays 10th. 17th for James Warrior, doesn't move up the order, so he will stay 11th in category and 17th overall. And I believe that is all of our drivers well and truly done in qualifying, and it is this man here, Liam McNeilly, who takes pole position, his first of the season. He didn't quite get it in round one last time out. That went to Marcello Pagnan, but Liam McNeilly gets himself the bonus point and gets himself pole position for the all-important race one here. And we set ourselves up for race one. Here is the grid for the first race of the night. Liam McNeilly and William Chadwick, Fordzilla 1-2 on the grid here at Knockhill for the first race of the night. And in third position is Adam Delmont with John Higgins Jr. alongside. A very good qualifying session for him. Jamie Dury takes fifth with Rob McGregor in sixth position at his home track. Wayne Douglas takes seventh position alongside first of the AM category, Sam Smith. Dan Skinner, race 3 winner last time, takes 9th position with Chris Daines in 10th position. John Carlos Schooler in 11th place with Lee Horn alongside in 12th. Ollie Peters takes 13th from 14th position, Aidan Wilson. Jeff Perkins alongside him is John Higgins on the 8th row there. 9th row taken up by James Warrior and Bud Dobson. 10th row taken up by Nigel Stock and Tom Delaney. Michael Lees in 21st with 22nd taken up by Paul Scott, Mark Anthony McLaughlin and Alan Mccain on the 12th row to line up at the back of the grid. But we are about to get underway here for the second round of the championship, the first race of the night here at Knockhill for the NXTGEN Racing MX-5 Cup. And we still got a few drivers lining up on the grid here. It's quite a short run down to turn 1, but it is downhill for the most part. A lot of drivers will be pulling off their grid slots uphill, so it's going to be very difficult for them lot to get off their marks and up to speed quickly. Liam McNeilly and Chadwick have just a straight downhill run as they line up at the top of the hill here. And we are still waiting for drivers to line up on the grid. In fact, we are not. Everyone is lined up on the grid. We're just waiting for race control to allow the racing to get underway. And when it does get underway, I'm sure it's going to be a very, very exciting race indeed.
Well, who are you putting your money on, Alex? Firstly, for me, I think if Fordzilla have a great start, it's going to be McNeilly.
I'm going to go with the same, actually. Paul, we're going to agree on this, but the lights are about to show. The marshals are about to wave go here at Knockhill, and it does get underway, and it is a good start from William Chadwick. I do wonder if he jumped the start a little bit there. I might be incorrect there, but he has got a good getaway. Liam McNeilly already coming across the fend, but heading into turn 1 here. It's a good start for Fordzilla as they're 1-2 coming through turns 1 and 2. Adam Delmont holds third place at the moment ahead of John Higgins, and it seems that all cars are getting through nice and safely. Until then, we're coming together between Lee Horn and I think it was Ollie Peters. Puts Lee Horn round and sends him down the order. Oh, he's struggling to keep it on the track. He's got to be careful not to run into anyone else. But Lee Horn actually does very, very well to keep all of it on. There is a collision back here. Ollie Peters and I think that was Bud Dobson came together. And Ollie Peters, it's just more rotten luck for him yet again.
Well, indeed, a nasty start for Ollie Peters. Indeed, a number of drivers being involved in that incident. Now, I'm just checking to see whether we've had any announcement on a safety car being deployed. I don't think so at this time. As our drivers come to the end of their first tour of the circuit, the safety car is still parked up. We can see it leading at the moment as they go on to lap number 2. Here's Liam McNeilly ahead of Chadwick, followed by Delmon and then John Higgins Jr., who's had a fantastic start, to be fair. Jamie Dory, meanwhile, in P5 behind him, giving a hot pursuit, and then Rob McGregor in P6. Then Wayne Douglas, Sam Smith, Chris Daines, and Giancarlo Schuler completing our top 10 as it currently stands as they make the way down through the opening corners once again. And now, oh, goodness me, I believe that is McGregor in contact with, unless I'm very much mistaken, is that Wayne? No, that's not Wayne Douglas. Who was he in contact there with?
So here we go, Rob McGregor heading around the corner. He did get a very, very shallow entry into the corner. Gets a little bit loose. Then up his inside. Oh, and on the curb, that was Wayne Douglas on the curb and puts it into Rob McGregor. And everyone did so well to avoid Rob McGregor there, just stuck in the middle of the track. But it was Wayne Douglas who hit the curb and was spat out into Rob McGregor, who's sent down to 20th here at his home track. Something's happened to Chris Daines as well. Oh, he was blinking in and out. He's had internet difficulties yet again, but we've got side by side for the lead here. McNeilly versus Chadwick heading into turn 1. Now, these two team drivers battling it out. Do they need to work together to stretch away from Adam Delmont, or do they need to battle it out to try and get themselves into a higher position to help their championships? As Liam McNeilly has internet difficulties as well. Adam Delmont is the one to look out for here. We said he's got a bit of a chip on his shoulder for this round here, as hitting the gravel there was Chadwick. Slows him down a little bit. It stretches Liam McNeilly away. Adam Delmont hitting the gravel a little bit there. It didn't affect him too much, but he's right on the rear of the Ford Zella Mazda ahead of him. Will it be a move going into the hairpin? Let's find out. On the brakes they go, and right behind Delmont is Higgins, but there's no move yet from Delmont. But round the outside there goes Higgins Jr., and he sticks it to the outside. But the unfortunate thing is he's got the outside for the next corner coming up, which is turn 1. Jamie Dury pushing along his teammate, trying to keep themselves on the inside, trying to get the advantage on Higgins, who's puts himself into 3rd place across the line there. Delmont gets later on the brakes, but Higgins, a brilliant run through turn 1, but he runs a little bit wide into 2. Jamie Dory nips ahead of the pair of them, takes both of them in 2 corners, and right there goes Higgins and Delmont. Delmont is going to run out of racing room here and drops down to 6th place now behind Chris Daines. But Jamie Dory, the opportunistic move, puts him into the top 3, Paul.
Oh, indeed, and Jamie Dory was very smart there just to wait and see how Higgins and Delmont would gradually take one off the road. And to put you in perspective, ladies and gentlemen, the thing with Knockhill in that downhill run through turns 1 through to 4, we're going to see it here. Watch how both drivers are contesting one racing line, and because of how narrow that racing line is, as they come down to turn 3 here, Higgins trying to carry a lot of speed, Delmont trying to keep his nose around the outside, and really 2 does not go into 1 unless you give a huge amount of space, and neither driver wanted to back out. But I think Delmont there just trying to keep his nose in when perhaps he should have thought, you know what, I've lost the right to the apex at turn 3, I'm just going to let it go. But of course you don't want to do that as a racer. You want the inner race inside you, says you always want to battle, but because of those 2 squabbling and we're not even a third of the way into the race, it means that Jamie Dory now is in the prime position to go hunting after Chadwick and McNeilly. But Team Fordzilla been getting an opportunity to run away with things as Jamie Dory, they're clattering those curbs through turns turns 5 and 6 I should say, and well, he's got to keep it together because he goes out into that gravel, it costs you a huge amount of time. Put 1 move into that gravel, it's worth at least 1 if not 2 attempts down these short straightaways.
Biggest mover of the grid so far. One of them is Chris Daines at 5 places gained. Alan Mccain from the back of the grid, 24th to 13th at the moment. Brilliant driving from him at the moment, 11 places gained. Nigel Stock is up to 5th in category with 8 places gained. The leader of the AM category at the moment, just ahead of Aidan Wilson, is Sam Smith of the Excite Racing team, Simtech and Excite iRacing team. Oh, and more internet difficulties out there. They are struggling. It might be the dodgy signal up here in Knockhill, Paul. We haven't quite got 5G up here. We've got, I think we've got minus 3G up here. But yeah, a couple of drivers struggling out there with their internet.
Oh, indeed. And really, for the drivers who are having those technical difficulties, they'll be less worried about those. It's the drivers around them who would then have to look at the driver who's blinking in and out of existence, if you will. And if you're wondering, ladies and gentlemen, is that what it looks like from the perspective of driving? Yes, it is. It is the case that one moment the driver's there around you in front of you, and the next minute they disappear. And you've actually got to try and predict where they are going to reappear. It is nasty, as we see. Meanwhile, just behind Smith and Schuler, and also Wilson battling side by side into the hairpin coming on in. And it is Giancarlo Schuler who's now up another position as they press on out of the hairpin and make their way down towards turn number 1. But Giancarlo Schuler back up into that P2 position in the AM class, and he's charging after Smith.
Yeah, brilliant from Giancarlo Schuler. He'll have to work hard to catch up with Sam Smith, but let's talk about Sam Smith for a minute. He had a brilliant round last time out of Red Bull Ring. Won races 1 and 2, just like the pro category championship leader Liam McNeilly, but 3rd place in race 3. So a very good round for Sam Smith indeed, near maximum points. Oh, as he runs wide, coming out of the chicane there, that could be pressure telling for him, as he's got Giancarlo Schuler and Aidan Wilson closing in behind. Schuler is on a mission here in the ASR livery there, chasing down the Simtech XI iRacing livery ahead of him of Sam Smith. It could be a very good battle towards the end of the race for this AM category. We're only 6.5 minutes in, so drivers still establishing a lot of their positions in this race. A lot of drivers falling down, and they're going to try and catch back up. A lot of drivers spun, such as Rob McGregor, Ollie Peters, Wayne Douglas. A lot of them are going to be catching up at this point in the race. In fact, Rob McGregor and James Warrior are both in the pits, so HSR, it's not been such a good start to their nights, has it, Paul?
And no, it has not indeed, and Warrior was out after the overlap, whereas McGregor, I think, has gone a little bit further in terms of the race. In fact, he's gone onto the 5th lap, and then the car has fallen apart under him. But it is the situation where they'll be able to bounce back in race 2, of course, because they're going to be finishing unclassified. They will not benefit from the reverse grid, albeit it is a top 15 reverse grid for race number 2. But they'll be thinking, okay, race number 1 hasn't worked out, got to get my head back in the game and capitalise on what's available in races 2 and 3. But as we look to the front right now, Liam McNeilly holding that advantage over Chadwick. These two did get together a little bit closer only moments ago. 1.5 tenths was the gap between them when at their closest point, but now with the gap they have, and you can see it there on the time board, it is the case they are running some of the fastest laps out there, and really it's in the AM class right now we're seeing a lot of drivers improving their lap times, particularly Ollie Peters and Jeff Perkins there, both pushing for personal best. Right now McNeilly and Chadwick are running away with this to an extent. They've got a 1.5 second gap to Jamie Dory, but now, as you were saying only moments ago, Alex, in terms of when we saw Sam Smith going wide at turn number 6 here, a lot of drivers now really pushing hard. They're trying to maximise lap times, a bit of pressure kicking in as well, and that's where Knockhill is such a nasty circuit, because all these curves, you get it wrong, you mount the curb at the wrong angle, carry 1 mile an hour too much speed over a curb, and you're going to find the car becomes an uncontrollable block of a machine, and it gets chucked across the corners. And now Aidan Wilson is trying to come back at Schooler as they make their way up into the hairpin.
Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head there. It's one of those tracks that people enjoy driving, but it's because it's challenging. You've got to think about the precision of your car through these corners. You've got to get your lines exactly right at every point, as we see Chris Daines concede 5th place to Adam Delmont there. But yeah, back to the track. It's one of those tracks where you're thinking about the cars around you. You're thinking about how narrow the track is. You're thinking about the curbs. You're thinking about your lines. It's quite the challenge here at Knockhill, and being that it's so short, that difficult corner, particularly the chicane there, it comes back at you within less than a minute on your next lap. So, oh, there was a car off then. I think that was Paul Scott. Yes, it was, yeah. Paul Scott running wide there, letting by a few drivers here. So Paul Scott not quite the round 2 that he wanted, the outgoing AM champion, of course. So, yeah, not a good start to his night. Hopefully he can pick things up in the following races. Not much going on here at the front, but these two are just towing each other along, letting Jamie Dory just sort of say to them, well, you try and catch us, Jamie. They have stretched their lead out just a little bit, up to 1.7 seconds in terms of interval, so that's the gap between Chadwick and Dory. So it's near 2 seconds between Dory and McNeilly. But Dory, all you can do is just push hard and try and catch up. But a 3rd place looking very good here for Jamie Dory. He'll be pleased with that result, I think.
Oh, most definitely. I think for Dory right now, his focus will purely be on holding that P3. If he can catch up to 2 leaders and have a shot at them at the end of the race with 5 minutes to go now, that would be great. But I think that's a nice to have at this point. He'll be more focused on just bringing home at that final step of the podium. And you can see a bit further back, there is the case that Adam Delmont in P5 is closing rapidly on John Higgins Jr. there. And one theory I did have about Chris Daines moments ago, Alex, when you're saying about the fact that he did let through Delmont, or it was the case that Delmont came through very quickly, I wonder whether Daines is using Delmont as a bit of a pace car, if you will, to try and see where he can gain a bit of lap time in races 2 and 3.
Potentially. Delmont was very quick in qualifying, so Daines might realise that, and it might be trying to learn some lines off him, learn braking points and that sort of thing. Learning a thing or two off the driver ahead goes a long way on iRacing, that's for certain. So a swap for the lead. Chadwick and McNeilly have swapped positions here. I wonder if this is tactical. Chadwick might believe that he is quicker and be able to tow McNeilly along to stretch away from Jamie Dory. But at the moment, it's Chadwick leaving McNeilly for dust. McNeilly's made a few mistakes on this lap. I wonder if it was the dirty air that might have hampered his grip on the car. Not too sure, but it's been a bit of a scruffy lap for Liam McNeilly. We'll see if there are more position swaps later on, but Adam Delmont with a big dive going into the hairpin there takes 4th place. A very, very clever move indeed. So we have Fordzilla 1, 2 and 3 and 4 for Next Gen Racing. It's like Ferrari and Red Bull, isn't it, Paul?
Oh, indeed it is, where they're running 2 by 2, hurrah, hurrah, and as they make their way down towards turn 1 here, well, Higgins is not going to let this one go from Delmont at all. He's trying to stay close to the HSR1 driver, and as they make their way down into turn number 3 at this point, you can see there, that's the case, Delmont just going a little bit wide, and he takes the gravel with his left-hand side tyres, and as a result, this is going to give Higgins a lot of momentum as they come through 5 and 6, but the problem is he has to back out through 6 because of how close he runs to the back of Delmont, and, well, I think Higgins now just trying to build that pressure with 3 minutes to go by the time they come down to the hairpin this time around. Now, the question will be for Delmont, of course, is how hard does he fight this? Does he act as the rear gunner effectively to Dory in case Higgins does suddenly have a bit of a spurt of pace? Or does he decide, you know what, if it's going to be a battle, I'll wait until the final lap? And a bit further back, Sam Smith under increasing pressure for the AM class lead from Wilson and Schuler. And Wilson and Schuler have actually swapped places over the last couple of laps.
Yes, they have. I believe it happened. Yeah, we can see how it happened here. This is a move going into the hairpin. Oh, and up the inside goes the HSR driver. Easy pickings, I would say. Nearly tagged the back of Schooler there, but sends it through and into 2nd place in category. So that sends the HSR car in the clear and catching up with Sam Smith here. Not to be confused with the Singer, by the way. But this is Sam Smith of Simtech Excite Racing leading the way in the AM category, 7th overall as well. That overall positions are good for your team's championship. It is not based on your category positions. It is based on how well you do overall. So that adds another element to these drivers. They're not just contending with one another. They're contending overall to help their team out. And it is Simtech Excite iRacing trying to get more points than HSR. But HSR driver Aidan Wilson looked to the inside, but very late on the brakes was Sam Smith to defend the position there. Oh, and a half spin there for, I think that was Wayne Douglas in the background there. He is a couple of laps down. So, struggling back there is Wayne Douglas. But heading into turn 1, we've got Aidan Wilson on the inside of Sam Smith. And I believe there is some swapping further up ahead. But the lead for the AM category has changed hands here as Wilson takes the lead here. And we've also got John Carlos Schooler, who is looking very, very happy to take a look at interfering in this battle here. The top 3 for the AM category is very much on, and there has been an instant further down the order. It is involved Tom Delaney, Jeff Perkins and Michael Lees. So let's take a quick look here. This is from Tom Delaney's view, chasing down the, I think that might be Ollie Peters' head. Oh, it taps the rear, but it sends himself round, and Jeff Perkins had nowhere to go, and neither did Michael Lees. Oh, and that's just a terrible instant, unfortunately, for drivers who are low down the order anyway, so it's just salt into the wounds, unfortunately for them. Now, it is a top 3 battle in the pro category. McNeilly and Chadwick have very much got to get a move on here. McNeilly goes round the outside of turn 2. Past Chadwick he goes, but Chadwick will try the undercut here. They have to get a wriggle on because Jamie Dory is threatening them behind. And look who else is catching up. Adam Delmont and John Higgins. Through the chicane they go. Oh, and more internet difficulties for Liam McNeilly. That's going to make Chadwick very nervous indeed. And it's not going to make Jamie Dory nervous at all. He has got momentum right here. This could be in Next Gen's favour right here as we're heading towards the final lap here, Paul.
And then as they come down to the hairpin, you can see McNeilly going extremely defensive to the inside. He's going to be slow coming out the corner, whereas Chadwick's going to have the mother of all runs, although he does get a little bit of snap oversteer on the exit. And now it's going to be a drag race to the start-finish line here. I believe they'll just get one more lap in. They'll just creep in. There's the white flag. It is the case. We go on to one more lap, and Jamie Dory trying to come on through here on the inside versus McNeilly as they go into the braking zone for turn 1, but he has to back out. McNeilly bunched in there behind Chadwick, and now as they come down to turn number 3, it is going to be McNeilly looking to the inside, but Chadwick just holds on. He takes a bit of gravel with him though, and meanwhile Delmont and Higgins are bunching up here. The top 5 all separated by a second. They all scramble through the chicane. Oh, goodness, spin. Delmont goes for a spin.
Oh, no.
So go on, after you.
I was going to say Adam Delmont. Poor Adam Delmont was looking so good to get involved in the battle here, and he's lost out and he's down to 9th already. But it's the final corner of the final lap here. Jamie Dory is some way behind. It's a straight battle between Fordzilla drivers Chadwick and McNeilly. Chadwick goes defensive. McNeilly tries the undercut. Oh, and a bit sideways there for Chadwick. A slow exit, and it's side by side as we head up the hill. The line is just ahead of him here, but it's going to be Chadwick who takes the win in race 1 here at Knockhill. Second goes to McNeilly, and Jamie Dory takes third in the category. First in the AM category goes to Aidan Wilson, and Giancarlo Sculla did find his way past Sam Smith, who puts him down to third place. Adam Delmont in the end finishes 9th with such an unfortunate spin at the end there, and I wonder if there was contact between him and John Higgins Jr. We'll have to check that on the replay. But reverse grid pole is going to go to Ollie Peters. It is reverse 15 to form the grid for race 2, and Ollie Peters will take that reverse grid pole again. He is Mr. Reverse Grid, it seems. In this series, he's been the only driver to start on pole for all reverse grid races. So let's see if he can keep that streak going for as long as he can. But let's take a look at the instant at the end there, Paul. It was very difficult to tell from our point of view because we were trying to look at the front, weren't we?
Oh, indeed. And just to comment on whilst we are trying to dig out the replay there for Ollie Peters, I mean, he must be getting flashbacks right now to the Red Bull Ring with regards to that reverse grid at pole position start. But I think he will now be much more settled into it. And to be fair, was putting some solid laps in the end. But we come back to what happened, and, well, there's the story. I think Higgins just coming in with a bit of momentum. And to be fair, I don't think he had anywhere he could go at that point as we take a little bit look further back in the order. But really, in terms of how this all kicked off, so the scramble between the two Fordzilla drivers, and you can see Jamie Dory there tries to creep in behind as they make the way in to turn number 1. He's not able to, so he backs out. And to be fair, Jamie Dory plays this like a game of chess in a way, in terms of how he gets the Fordzilla drivers to put the pressure on one another and then work to his advantage. And well, Chadwick went a bit wide, and as they came for the chicane, watch here, particularly Dory, how he's going to have to back off through the chicane. That in turn leads to Delmont having to go slow, and in the end, Higgins, he just hasn't got any room to react to Delmont going slower. And well, I think the stewards will frown on it with regards to Higgins, but Higgins would argue he had nowhere to go, and that's what happens when you're falling that closely at Knockhill here. When you all start to brake, it's the concertina effect, and it is amplified between the drivers and that chicane. And in the end, as they came down towards the hairpin here to complete the race, where it was all about the drag race to the finish line, all three drivers taking different lines. And meanwhile, in the AM class, well, this was right towards the end of the race, Alex, where Schuler went up the inside of Smith and gave him a little bit of a door rub.
Yeah, there was just a big dive to the inside. So this is Sculla making the move on Sam Smith on the final corner, final lap. And Sam Smith, you can just tell by the way his car moved, he was just thinking, well, where on earth did that come from? He's limping his way to the line. That might be another one the stewards look at. Did Sculla have the right to be on the inside there? It was a very quick move indeed. So it might be one for the stewards to look out for after. But we start here at Knockhill with drama already. The top 3 in the pro category, well, it all kicked off for them, and the top 3 in the AM category, it kicked off for them as well. So our race winners were William Chadwick for the pro category. Aidan Wilson takes a win in the AM category. I believe that's his first of the season. I think he might... is he actually pro category? I think he should actually be pro category. Excuse us, ladies and gentlemen. So it will be Giancarlo Sculla who will take the AM category win in this race. And reverse grid pole will go to Ollie Peters, who did have a bit of drama earlier on in this race. But here are the classified results of this race. Provisional, of course, pending stewards' reviews after the races take place on these Monday nights. Chadwick takes the win from McNeilly in second, Dory in third. A strong race for him. John Higgins Jr. in 4th position with Chris Daines in 5th. A good comeback for him, considering he qualified 10th position. Bravo to him. Aidan Wilson 6th with Giancarlo Sculla in 7th. Sam Smith 8th with Adam Delmont 9th. Dan Skinner 10th with John Higgins Sr. in 11th. Alan Mccain in 12th. Nigel Stock 13th with Mark Anthony McLaughlin in 14th. A good showing from him. Climbed 9 places on his debut here to the series. Ollie Peters 15th. 16th goes to Michael Leese with Bud Dobson in 14th position. 18th position goes to Jeff Perkins with Tom Delaney in 19th. Wayne Douglas rounding off the top 20. The first of the drivers more than a lap down. Paul Scott in 21st with Rob McGregor, Lee Horn and James Warrior rounding off the field. Rather unfortunately, those drivers did not have a good race here. But that has been the opening race of the night here for the Next Gen Racing MX-5 Cup Round 2 at Knockhill. I've been Alex Everett. Paul Walsh alongside me will be back very, very shortly with the next race of the night. Another 15-minute sprint race awaits us here at Knockhill. Don't go away. Well, welcome back, everyone, to Knockhill for what is now a very overcast Knockhill. For the second race of the night is coming up in the next 2 minutes or so. We saw a very thrilling first race where William Chadwick took his first win of the season, as well as AM category winner John Carlos Skula. And reverse grid pole taken by Ollie Peters, so the top 15 from the previous race reversed to form the grid for race 2. Now, there is a little bit of an urban myth here I've been wanting to say, that if I've been told by many Scotsmen in my time, and I don't know if this is a myth or not, I don't know if I'm making this up actually, but apparently if there's no sheep on the hill, it means it's going to rain here at Knockhill, and I don't see any sheep up there, so yeah, rain is coming to iRacing, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I'm going to say. Yeah, Paul, for this race here, we're probably not going to get rain, but how do you think this race is going to go, considering we saw a very scrappy lap 1 in the previous race?
I think this race, we're going to see much of the same in terms of a lot of battling early on, and I think there will be a bit of door rubbing, but one driver really wants to focus on. He had a great debut race in race number 1, and that was Mark-Anthony McLaughlin, who I think will be starting on the front row alongside Ollie Peters. I recall he finished P14, unless I'm very much mistaken, and well, the deficit racing driver, he's going to have a little bit of pressure on him, but at the same time, I think he can make it a good run in race number 2. But that's the thing, of course, as well, now that we have some of the potentially slower drivers in terms of overall race pace starts up towards the front, it's going to be a very odd dynamic here at Knockhill, because overtaking requires you to be very bold and know what you're doing. Get it wrong and it could see both you and your opponent in that battle go off the circuit, and you go into the steward's room with a hefty slap on the back.
It's a hefty slap on the back indeed. You do not want to be losing points in such crucial championships such as this. Definitely not. As we head towards the race 2 of the night, as we see Mark-Anthony McLaughlin take a spin there, he definitely won't want to be doing that in the race there. Let's move on so he doesn't get embarrassed about that one. Wayne Douglas had a tricky race in race 1. He'd definitely be looking to do better in this one. He's usually a quick driver, Wayne Douglas is. In the Legends, he was especially quick, and last season, the MX-5s, he was contending in the top 10 regularly. But we are about to move on into the next session, and the grid, when it eventually comes up, will be called out by Paul Walsh. And here we go.
So as we wait for the grid to be set, ladies and gentlemen, and now we transition over to the race, your grid for race number 2 is as follows. So starting on pole, Ollie Peters from Crest Autosport of Apex Tracks with Mark-Anthony McLaughlin alongside him on the front row. Nigel Stott and Alan Mccain on row number 2 with John Higgins, that is John Higgins Sr., and what is Dan Skinner there on row number 3. Adam Delmont and Sam Smith on row 4 with John Carlos Schuler and Aidan Wilson on row number 5. Chris Daines and John Higgins, what is Junior there, line up on row at number 6 with Jamie Doria and Liam McNeilly on row at number 7, and then William Chadwick, your overall winner last time out in race 1, started P15 there, joined on the 8th row by Michael Lease. Bud Dobson and Jeff Perkins on row at number 9 with Tom Delaney and Wayne Douglas completing our 10th row in our top 20, and then it's Paul Scott and Rob McGregor on row at number 11, and I do believe we have Lee Horn who'll be starting on our 12th row on his lonesome in P23. But this is race number 2 of round 2 of the Next Gen Racing MX-5 Cup Season 2, brought to you at Knockhill, the Scottish circuit in Fife. The grid is complete. We are now awaiting the lights, and it is awaiting for those 5 red lights. 1 red light, 2 red lights, 3 red lights, 4 red lights, 5 red lights. And it's lights down, away we go here for race number 2, and we can see Ollie Peters getting a good start there as McLaughlin gets a very slow start by comparison. Actually bogs down and loses 2 places on the drop, as we can see Nigel Stock and Mccain up into P2, P3, and as they make their way into turn 1, it's going to be McLaughlin who's pushed wide, and he's taken with Delmont there. Oh goodness me, we've got a car spinning over the roof of itself there, barrel rolling down, and that is McLaughlin. So it wasn't who I thought it was, but as they all made their way down, the majority of our drivers have made it on through the opening corners safe and sound, but it has been quite the opening run as they all make their way through the chicane, and you see Wayne Douglas here in at P16, and right at the front Ollie Peters, well, he's avoided all the drama as John Higgins Sr. here in at P3, well, he's chasing after Nigel Stott, but it looks like Crest Autosport of Apex Tracks have had a brilliant start to this race, haven't they, Alex?
Yeah, go on lads, let's go. 1-2 for them at the moment, but a battle here between 3rd and 4th. This is Higgins Sr. on the outside of Alan Mccain, who had a very good race 1 indeed. Something's happened to Liam McNeilly. No, He's running slowly on the inside of the hairpin there, but he has lost out to Chris Daines. We can see in the yellow and blue livery pass by. Liam McNeilly trying to get by Aidan Wilson here, but the first lap of the race here, Ollie Peters leads. William Chadwick is already up 8 places. Into 7th he goes on a hard charge here. Is the Fordzilla driver, or sideways going into turn 3 there, but keeps it on the black stuff. And it is bunching up very nice and tight between all these drivers here. Chris Daines getting very much out of shape there, but keeping the car in a straight line. But he does run wide. Oh, and he can't keep it in a straight line. It just switches and switches and switches and sends him round in the end. And he drops well down the order to 18th, I think it is now. Chris Daines has got it all to do now for the remainder of the race. Let's see what he can do for this remainder of the race. Sam Smith, Mark Anthony McLaughlin have all had issues early on in this race, but also a big mover so far. Giancarlo Scuola here, 5th in the AM category right here, right now, with 4 places gained. And there's a 3 wide heading down the main straight here. 4 wide, potentially, not quite, but it nearly did end up like that. And heading into turn 1 here, we got Adam Delmont into 4th place. Brilliant progress from Adam Delmont, considering the bad luck he had in race 1. Into turn 3 we go. Scuola gets out of shape. Delmont is through and into 3rd place. Big moves here from the Next Gen Racing driver. And also back there we got Chadwick making his way past HSR drivers Higgins and Higgins Jr. Lee Horn has had an issue further back, and I think Chris Daines was involved as well. Here's the replay. Lee Horn going through turn 2 there. Into the corner we go. Can't quite see Chris Daines yet. Oh, and Lee Horn sends it round, and Jamie Joy just about avoids, but Chris Daines couldn't. Oh, Chris Daines has had a rotten luck in this race so far, Paul.
Indeed, Chris Daines has had the worst luck of anybody, well, minus McLaughlin, who went for a barrel roll coming out to turn 1, but we'll come to that in a brief. While it is the case there, I think Daines just not able to avoid Lee Horn, who had the brakes on, to be fair, but that car wasn't going to stop anytime soon, and while he's jumped to the pits, has Chris Daines, as we continue to look at Delmont here, who's had an absolute flyer of start after a little bit of contact coming through turn 1 on the opening lap, but he's chasing after Stock and Peters here, and he's got a 1-place gap between himself and Chadwick, the closest pro on circuit, as they all make their way through the chicane once again. And as they've flown through, Chadwick has come up through the order very rapidly. He's gained 10 places already, has Chadwick, and as they make their way down and around and through the corners, it is the case that you can see Chadwick doing everything in his power to try and close up to the back of Schuler. Now, can he go for the move here up into the hairpin? Well, he's going to look for it. He's going to be very close, and well, on the brakes here, he looks the inside. It's Fordzilla up the inside versus ASR, and he goes for the move there and takes the position as he exits out the corner here. Very nicely done. And will the Team Watson Racing driver there in the ASR machine will be okay with that? I think he knows that he's not racing with Chadwick in class, but now Delmont of course does have that big factor, which is encroaching behind him is a driver within his own class. It's Chadwick, and he doesn't take prisoners as they make the way through turns 2 and 3. You can see Delmont here up the inside, immediately a Stock reacting there to Chadwick's pass as they make the way around on this lap, and we're not even at the 5-minute mark yet.
Oh, and somebody running wide there. I think that's Alan Mccain. Yes, it is. He runs wide, but he keeps it in a straight line, and he's carrying on through the chicane here. He's got Wayne Douglas behind him, catching him rapidly, but that drops him out of the top 10. But Nigel Stock there conceding 2nd place to Adam Delmont, and he might be conceding 3rd place here to William Chadwick. Stock hasn't quite got the pace of these drivers up the front in the pro category here, but Stock is 2nd place in the category. That's what he'll care about. He'll care about those points in the championship, and he'll care about finishing this race. He's now under pressure from fellow AM category driver Giancarlo Scuola here, who won race 1, remember, in the AM category, so he'll be hunting down Ollie Peters at the front here. But Ollie Peters is going to be under pressure soon from Adam Delmont, but so far a pretty decent race from Ollie Peters. By the way, it is no short of experience in the Next Gen Racing Leagues here. 3rd in the Next Gen Legends League, the first running of it about a year to 2 years ago, so he's no short of pace, and he'll definitely be looking for a good battle here. Nigel Stock and Scuola side by side coming out of the chicane. Oh, we got a HSR car of Aidan Wilson squirrely in the background there ahead of Liam McNeilly, but we've got another HSR car joining in here. That's John Higgins, and he's bumping along Scuola to try and get by the pair of them. That is Stock and Scuola. Heading down into the hairpin here. Stock opts for the outside line into the hairpin. Scuola has the inside. Higgins to the middle, and both pass Stock through the hairpin. Scuola is into 2nd in category and 4th on the road. And Stock is now going to be under a lot of pressure from a lot of drivers catching up behind. Aidan Wilson and Liam McNeilly are the ones battling at the moment that will catch them next Into turn 1 to go. Higgins ahead of Schooler and into third place in category. This is a brilliant running from Higgins Jr. today, Paul.
Indeed it is, and the HSR Wanderer really coming alive here at Knockhill as they make the way on a round, and what it is telling at the moment, his pace is matching up towards what is Chadwick and also Delmont's pace, as we see that Adam Delmont has closed that to the back of Ollie Peters. Now, if I was in Ollie Peters' shoes here, I'd just let this go when they get onto that start-finish line straight. Don't fight the drives. If he knows that they're in the pro class, he doesn't need to fight them, and you can see already he's given the space to Delmont up the inside, and as they roll them through the hairpin, he'll tuck into the slipstream here. I think you'll see that Chadwick's going to get the double toe, and I wouldn't be surprised if into turn 1 he just simply lifts off the throttle about 50 metres early and lets Chadwick take that inside line and not lose too much momentum here, because he's got a 3.7 second gap to Higgins, and there's Giancarlo Schuler behind, and as they make their way into turn 1, well, it's on call, and you can see that it is Ollie Peters just backing off and letting Chadwick go. Now all he's got to focus on is following these guys to the finish. Of course, we're just almost at the halfway point, and you can see Ollie Peters runs a little bit wide there, but as we take a look back at the replay, this was Aidan Wilson moments ago with what was, that was Liam McNeilly, I believe, Alex.
Yeah, it was Liam McNeilly with a very ambitious move on the inside of, well, to be fair, he was on his inside for quite some time, but Aidan Wilson turns around there and lets by a lot of cars there, not putting himself back onto the track as an unsafe rejoin. That's very good of Aidan Wilson, but it drops him down to 19th now. So the race one, well, it was the race 1 and winner until we moved into pro category, which is his category. Aidan Wilson 7th in race 1, and it's not looking so good in this race, but if you can finish yourself on the lead lap, which I believe it is, you will get reverse grid contention in this race for the grid for race 3. Now the battle's on here. Chadwick has got through the reverse grid mess, we'll call it, and he's up into second place, 13 places gained, and right on the back of Adam Delmont. Delmont, when's his championship going to get up and running? He needs a win, he needs a big finish, and he's going to try and do that today. Him and Chadwick both had bad outings at Red Bull Ring, so this is a big opportunity for them to get points on their rivals here, Paul. McNeilly still struggling down in 6th at the moment.
Well, indeed, and McNeilly trying to come through as Chadwick's just gone up the inside of Delmont into the hairpin here, and we can see McNeilly meanwhile as he comes up, but Delmont giving that the inside line, but McNeilly right now needs to find a way to close up a bit further back there. That's Wayne Douglas up the inside of what was Nigel Stock, and we see a bit further back. It's also the case we've got a lot of passes happening into the hairpin there, a lot of drivers I think releasing other drivers on through, as we just lose sight of Giancarlo Schuler for a moment, but Liam McNeilly chasing after the American very rapidly here, who's just having slight connectivity issues. Seems a lot of our drivers being plagued with those connectivity issues, as you say earlier, Alex, but as they make their way through, it is a case a lot of drivers can capitalise on the points. And coming back to our original, well, it's going to come back to our original conversation point, that's Rob McGregor coming through, as we have had Jamie Dory, who's had a mad scramble off at turn 1 and rejoins on the run to turn 3, and well, it's the case up the inside there. Oh goodness me, in contact from, I think that's the number 64 car, and well, that is not going to make Jamie Dory a very happy bunny.
No, it's not. I think that was John Higgins Sr. that made contact with him there, and that sends Jamie Dory off and down a lot of positions. Jamie Dory trying to make big progress in this race. He finished 3rd overall, so he would have been looking to keep up with the likes of Chadwick and McNeilly early on in this race, but it just hasn't happened for him quite yet here. But there are a lot of cars ahead of him up the road here, as far as Wayne Douglas, who's right ahead of Nigel Stock. Wayne Douglas, by the way, has gained 13 places in this race, second highest to William Chadwick, who's taken 14. And is ahead of Adam Delmont. Now, I want to find out when that happened between Adam Delmont and William Chadwick. I can't quite see it on my event screens. Yep, found it. There we go. This is the move that happened between Chadwick and Delmont, and it was into the hairpin. And it was just a regular move into the hairpin there, Paul, as he parks it on the apex, does Chadwick, and Delmont couldn't really do much about that.
Oh, indeed. And I think Delmont there, giving him the space, and well, Chadwick decides to park it on apex to really cement the move. But just as we cut away to that, we can see that is that Tom Delaney who spun on the corner?
It might have been something happened to Nigel Stock here. Spins coming out the chicane here. And I think Tom Delaney also had some drama as well. He's right ahead of Jamie Dory here, heading into this corner here. Oh, there is contact between him. Oh, Jamie Dory's just turned him around there. Oh, Jamie Dory putting his nose where it shouldn't have belonged, but Tom Delaney was just a passenger in that, Paul.
Oh, indeed, and you can see Jamie do it as soon as it was the case that Tom Delaney had been turned off circuit, immediately pulled over to the right and stamped on the brakes. I think he might have just had a little bit of moment of red mist there and then recognised, no, I shouldn't have done that, and that's why he slammed on the brakes to show sportsmanship and give the place back. But Delaney, I'm sorry to say, has had to jump to the pits with a collapsed suspension, and as we look at the live cameras right now, behind Ollie Peters here, we've got McNeilly up the inside of John Higgins for P4 overall, that's P3 in the Pro class. But one driver I was going to say, who until we cut away for a brief while, who was on a good run, although I think it may be the case it's gone a little bit wrong since we last looked at him. No, in fact, he's still doing very well at the moment, is Michael Lease, who's in P8. He's gained 8 places since the start of this race, and the very definitive luminescent SRC Movano course of SSD racing driver here, doing a fantastic job, and now battling with Rob McGregor for what is effectively P7 in the class. They come down on McGregor there, my goodness. Well, I have not in a very long time seen someone go outside to inside through turns 1 and 2 through Duffer's Dip, but it is the case that McGregor knows his home circuit very well. And, well, Alex, would you ever expect him to try that?
Well, Rob McGregor turned into Conor McGregor for a moment there. Very aggressive move, but he made it through. And on his home circuit, 14 places gained. He is up there as the biggest gainer along with William Chadwick. But at the front here, AM category leader drops down 1 place overall. He won't mind that. It is Giancarlo Scula who is a few seconds back here. He needs to keep an eye on. These drivers are aware of who's in Pro category and who's in AM category. And Ollie Peters will know this is not his battle as Higgins goes to his inside. He let him through fairly easy. Now Ollie Peters, in the final few minutes in this race, focuses on keeping this AM category lead. He needs to keep it on the black stuff. He needs to get a tow from Higgins and McNeilly ahead, but it is Scula he needs to watch out for, who has got behind him, I think that's Lee Horn, so there's no threat to him as Lee Horn is more than a lap down. Lee Horn, by the way, just can't get his season off the ground. He's the outgoing Pro-Am category champion, and he just can't get anything going as we see a move for the lead here. Adam Delmont tried to make his way past Chadwick around the outside, but couldn't quite make it. But yeah, Lee Horn here, Paul, can't get it going, can he?
No, it is the case. Lee Horn, of course, our reigning Pro-Am champion from Season 1, is just not finding a way to get any momentum in this championship campaign. But the momentum right now between Chadwick and Delmont is really kicking alive. After Chadwick made that pass into turn number 9 and parked it on Apex, and there's contact between the two of them now with 2 laps remaining. This lap including, may even be a 3rd lap remaining, or it's going to be very close. Right now it's the case that Delmont really starting to unfurl the pace and go on the offensive, but he gets a bit wrong there, and he's still hooked onto the grass as he comes out 6 into 7. Fortunately, he's been able to bring the car back together, but that would have been a hair-raising moment, a heart in the mouth. And right now, Next Gen Racing Team Orange on the offensive here in the hands of Delmont, trying to find a way back past Chadwick, as they have got a 4-second gap to Liam McNeilly, who's in P3, and Chadwick, the Team Fordzilla driver, will be hoping that his teammate can close up over the time remaining. Albeit they're going to have to take a huge amount of time out of one another if they want to do it, as they're about to go on to what is, I think, just about the final lap.
Yes, here we go. Couldn't quite see the white flag, but it might be given to the drivers. So here we go. Chadwick has just got to hang on to this. This could be a repeat win here for Chadwick. What a night he's having so far, but can he keep hold of it? We've also got Ollie Peters and Giancarlo Scula to keep an eye on. Ollie Peters is in control, more than a second ahead of the Race 1 AM category winner. Let's focus on the front for the moment, though. Adam Delmont has had a very, very quick sectors 1 and 2, but there's only 1 corner remaining potentially in this race. We'll have to keep an eye on the Marshall's post up at the top at the hill, but we'll see what happens here. Chadwick to the hairpin. Delmont doesn't seem to be challenging this at the moment, so as they come out of the corner, I think we have got the checkered flag here. Paul, can you confirm?
Just checking. It's going to be very close, but they wave an eye. It's a white flag. They've gone to 1 more lap. It is 1 more run around the circuit, and well, Delmont's going to be reveling in that for the simple reason he gets 1 more chance, and this is the chance I think he was waiting for. I think he was thinking about it, but then saw they're just going to get across with 1 second remaining. That's how close it was on the timer, but he's had a very bad run through Sector 1 as they make the way up into the chicane here, Alex. It looks so Delmont, I think, is leaving it a bit too late.
Oh, it's such a short track. It's so difficult. You haven't got many opportunities to gain on your rival ahead. But you can see Adam Delmont is sliding the car around dragging it around these corners to try and get the best on Chadwick ahead. But it actually looks like a pretty good run from Delmont here. He's right on the rear of the Fordzilla car. Here we go into the final corner, into the hairpin. Delmont takes the outside. There's contact between the two of them. Onto two wheels goes Delmont, but he's able to keep it going. But Chadwick will take the win here. Provisionally here in this race, he takes a repeat of wins. Race 1 and Race 2 goes to Chadwick. McNeilly finishes third with Delmont in front in second. But Ollie Peters will take the AM category win. From lights to flag, he's been leading this in the AM category, and he takes it. Schooler gets a very good result here as well. Second in category, 6th overall. And I think the drivers on the lead lap, the last of the finishers on the lead lap will be... It might be Aidan Wilson. We'll have to confirm a little bit later on. But a race winner yet again, William Chadwick. And let's just take another quick replay of that final corner between Chadwick and Adam Delmont. Let's see if we can get it here. It might be, yeah. Or this might actually be the previous lap between these two. Let's just watch the final lap between these two drivers, which I think it might be... Actually, the final two laps. Let's see if we can skip forward a little bit, just to move things along a little bit. Here we go. Right, let's watch from Chadwick's view. This is heading around the top of the course, and this is the run down to the hairpin. And this might actually be even the previous lap from that. I will get it right eventually, ladies and gentlemen. I will get it right. Here we go into the hairpin. We'll skip forward a little bit. And this is the final hairpin. Here we go. Adam Delmont on the outside there, turning into the hairpin. Now they were very tight together. I think that is just a racing instant, Paul. It's just both of them challenging very closely into a very narrow hairpin there. And I don't think neither one didn't necessarily block off the other driver, would you say?
I'm completely in agreement with you there, Alex. I think what was very smart of Chadwick, as we look back, what you're going to see here, watch how Chadwick takes it very gradual through the corner, and Delmont's got to turn in. But the thing is, what Delmont was hoping for, I think, there was that he could get the cut back to the inside. But Chadwick literally put himself perfectly alongside, and the only way Delmont would have made the move is if he went all the way around the outside. But the thing is, if you do that, you're going to have a really bad run out the corner, and that is how it all worked. And you can see, Chadwick has done nothing wrong here from the perspective of positioning the car. He has that right to the inside line of the apex, and Delmont in the end, I think, just tried to go for that cutback, but found Chadwick was there, and at the end of the day, second place to Delmont and a winner to Chadwick. But to be fair to Delmont, if he was looking to get some momentum here today, that second place is definitely a sign. I think he's got a lot more to come in race number 3.
Yeah, absolutely. And still, it's good points for Adam Delmont in this race, which is what he needed. It really is what he needed. But Chadwick takes the top honours. But Walsh, show us through the standings in that second race.
Thank you, Alex, and will do. So after our second race in round 2 at Knockhill, your overall results are as follows. William Chadwick making it 2 out of 2 here for Team Fordzilla, winning in the end by a margin of 1 second over Adam Delmont with a close battle to the checkered flag. Liam McNeilly completing the overall podium, and indeed the pro podium there, fighting his way up to P3, with John Higgins Jr. there coming home in P4 for HSR1. Ollie Peters, P5, and he is our winner in the AM class, having started on pole and taking it to the finish there, with John Carlos Schuler in P6, that's second place in the AM class, ahead of Wayne Douglas and Rob McGregor, the 2 pro drivers there, and also Michael Lease there with a great result in P9. And then P10 going to John Higgins. What is John Higgins Senior there? And he is our third place man in the AM class, completing the AM podium, ahead of Bud Dobson, I should say, with a great result there for Def Sim Racing on their debut. Dan Skinner P12 ahead of Jeff Perkins, Paul Scott and Jamie Dory. All 3 drivers there having a difficult race, although Jeff Perkins, to be fair, coming quite a way up the order compared to his starting position. He'll be pleased with that. And then Alan McCain just outside the top 15, P16, with Nigel Stott P17, Aidan Wilson P18. Those are drivers who finished on the lead lap, and I believe will be eligible for the full reverse grid. And then our drivers with a difficult race, and they'll be looking to put it behind them. Of course, our pole was our second place man on the grid for race number 2, Mark Anthony McLaughlin, with that horrendous incident on lap number 1, rolling the car down the circuit. Chris Daines completes our top 20, Lee Horn, Tom Delaney and Sam Smith there completing our standings for race number 2. So
there we go. Thank you, Paul. That was the results of race 2. It has been all about William Chadwick so far tonight, but how will race 3 fare as we head later on into the day here at Knockhill? Race 3 coming up, and it's a 25-minute feature race we've got coming up for you next. Don't go away, ladies and gentlemen. This is brilliant racing we're watching tonight. We'll be back very shortly with the third race of the night. Welcome back, everyone, to Scotland, Fife, Knockhill. This is round 2 of the NXTGEN Racing MX-5 Cup, race 3. The 25-minute feature race coming up for you very, very shortly. We're here on Crest Autosport TV on Twitch and YouTube, and of course Facebook for NXTGEN Racing TV. Please do give us a like, follow, share and or subscribe from whichever platform you're watching on, from wherever you are around the world. It really does help out the series and the channels. But thank you very much for coming along and watching tonight's racing. I'm here alongside Paul Walsh, commenting on tonight's racing. And what a night it's been so far, Paul. We've had double win from William Chadwick, who didn't have a good round at Red Bull Ring, but today he's doing very, very well. And in the AM category, it seems to be a straight-up battle between Ollie Peters and Giancarlo Scula at the moment.
Indeed, it's been an opening 2 races where we've seen a lot of battles, but as you say, Alex, we've got a runaway driver in the Pro class in the form of the Team Fordzilla driver, and meanwhile it is the case, and not Liam McNeilly, but of course his teammate, and meanwhile it is the situation whereby in the AM class we do have that very close battle between Giancarlo Scula and Ollie Peters, and now we will have the big question of who out of the two of them in the AM class can excel in the reverse grid start, because we now have a full reverse grid for race number 3.
Absolutely. It's where it gets very, very interesting. We do often see safety cars in race 3, but something that has been a streak that has been broken, I think, as of today. I believe this is the first time, the first race since Liam McNeilly started the championship where he hasn't won more than one race in the night. So that's a streak that's been ended by his teammates, which he'll be a bit gutted about. I think that's true anyway. I've been told it anyway. But yeah, it's been quite a tricky night for Liam McNeilly. He's still picking up good results, but it's been all about Chadwick, as he came from 15th to win the previous race. He's just on fire tonight, isn't he?
Indeed, it seems as though Chadwick just has a lot of pace. I think he's really clocked in at the Knockhill racing circuit. And perhaps we saw that sign in race number 1. We saw the two drivers swap places quite early on. And McNeilly came back at Chadwick towards the end of the race. But Chadwick just seemed to have some staying power there in the lead. And, well, I do wonder whether this is the sign of momentum turning, or whether we could potentially see that shift back to McNeilly in round number 3 in a week's time. But, of course, we won't be talking about that here. We focus on Knockhill today.
Absolutely, and we focus now on the grid that's going to form our grid for the third race of the night here. So on the front row would be Sam Smith. Alongside him would be Lee Horn. He'll be looking for a little bit more luck and a good result in this race, that's for certain. Chris Daines in 3rd place after the bad race 2 that he had earlier on. Mark Anthony McLaughlin in 4th position after going off in turn 1 in race 2. Aidan Wilson in 5th place, with Nigel Stock, who was looking good in race 2, drops down the order in race 2 to start 6th here in this race. Alan Mccain in 7th, with Jamie Dory alongside in 8th. Paul Scott will start 9th with his teammate alongside in 10th, Jeff Perkins. Dan Skinner starts 11th with Bud Dobson in 12th position, with John Higgins Sr. in 13th. Michael Lees in 14th, with Rob McGregor in 15th. Wayne Douglas 16th. Giancarlo Scula, the race 1 winner of the AM category, 17th. AM category race 2 winner Ollie Peters in 18th. John Higgins Sr. Jr. in 19th, with Liam McNeilly 20th. Adam Delmont and William Chadwick to round off the grid. But here we go for this next race of the night. Lights are red. And away we go. Sam Smith hasn't taken to the grid, but Lee Horn will start on pole position. It's a bad start from Lee Horn as Chris Daines gets away much better, and it's an easy start to this race for Chris Daines that he'll certainly be pleased about. Into turn 1 we go. Let's see if all drivers get through safe and sound. It's very chock-a-block back there, and a car did go for a spin. It's Michael Lees. He's off there into the gravel trap there, coming out of turn 2, and Nigel Stock is dropping down the order as well. He's spun coming out of turn 3. It went bad in race 2 and it's gone bad very early on here in race 3 for Nigel Stock. Heading through the top of the course here, heading out of turn 7 and now around the long curve at turn 8. Oh, and a spin, yeah, there, that's from... Oh,
that's multiple spins in the background there. That was Mccain. Also, we've had, I think that's Paul Scott gone for a spin. We've got Tom Delaney rolling as well.
Yeah, something's happened back there. Might we get a safety car here, as there's a lot going on here?
Safety car's coming out.
Yep, here we go. Safety car is out and on the track. This will bunch up the field and it will pass by the time. Chris Staines crosses the line and he'll have to stamp on the brakes here as the safety car is out on the track. And we can see a car leaving the pit. So that's Sam Smith, who was meant to start on pole position, and he's lost out here. He's a lap down already. So here we go. Safety car is out. Chris Staines will lead it following this safety car period. So let's go back and see if we can find out what actually happened with that incident just a moment ago. I think Ollie Peters might have been involved as well. Just trying to see if we can find it. Let's see if we can get a good view of the incident here. So this is Ollie Peters. He had an incident. Oh, contact with an HSR car there, runs off wide, and it happened up ahead as well. HSR cars getting involved as well. So there is a car here that I want to, yeah, it's Alan Mccain. I want to see what happened for Alan Mccain. He seemed to be one of the first cars that did spin. So there we go. He spins off into the grass there, but everything seemed to happen elsewhere around him.
Oh, most definitely. And what's very interesting with regards to this incident is the fact that Ollie Peters actually just gets caught out by the dip on the exit of 7. But as they come through, so John Higgins, that's Wayne... No, it's not Wayne Douglas there. So it's one of the HSR cars who gets turned across the front of the pack as they made their way on through. So there is, as we can see, Wayne Douglas. So Wayne Douglas makes it through unscathed, but it does look as though the HSR driver is getting all caught up in that incident. And then, well, I think Liam McNeilly backed off the throttle coming out the corner, and Wayne Douglas turned him... Sorry, not Wayne Douglas, my apologies. Tom Delaney turned himself over the back of what was Liam McNeilly in that incident.
It's a very strange one indeed, and it's one the stewards will probably look at after the race. It was hard to get a good view on that one. There's a lot of HSR cars in the field, so it's very difficult to tell who's who from them. But both Higgins drivers, John Higgins drivers, senior and junior, down in 18th and 19th with damage to their cars. Ollie Peters, the race 1 AM category winner, is there in 20th place. Now he has taken a fast repair and he is tied onto the back of the field here. A lot of drivers here due to the fast repair scheme on iRacing. So basically you go into the pits, if you have a fast repair enabled in the race, it basically turns your car new. It's like jumping into the old T cars back in the Formula 1 days of the late 90s. But we'll see if the safety car comes in here. A lot of drivers, as I said, given a get out of jail free card, and they'll tie onto the back of this crowd here, and they'll get another crack at the whip here in this race. Now the drivers are not bunching up here, so I assume that, yeah, the safety car is staying out, driven by Gaz Williams, of course. Takes time out of his day to be the safety car for this race, so bravo to Gaz Williams in the Porsche Cayman GT4. And here's a rundown of the field so far, as we only did a lap and a bit. Chris Staines leads from Lee Horn in 2nd, Aidan Wilson 3rd, Jamie Dory is 4th position. Now remember, Jamie Dory had a very good race 1, finishing 3rd. Mark Anthony McLaughlin leads the AM category at the moment, in 5th place overall, but 1st in category. Dan Skinner is 6th with Paul Scott in 7th, Rob McGregor 8th with Bud Dobson in 9th, William Chadwick is in 10th. 12 places gained on that opening lap for what's been pretty much the MVP for tonight.
Sorry to interrupt you, Alex. Safety car in this lap.
Oh, here we go, and we'll get through the order. Adam Delmont 11th, John Carlos Schooler in 12th, Liam McNeilly 13th, 14th Dwayne Douglas, Michael Lease 15th, Nigel Stock 16th, Jeff Perkins 17th, 18th John Higgins Senior, Junior is in 19th, Ollie Peters, Alan Mccain and Tom Delaney. So there are 22 cars still running. Now the safety car runs off into the distance. Chris Staines bunches up the field. They want to get as close as they can. They do not want to be spaced out on this track. But here we go. The safety car is in. And up the hill goes Chris Staines with a very good run out of the hairpin. Lee Horn was caught napping a little bit there. As they head up to the line, it's green flag racing with 20 minutes to go in this race. Chris Staines leads them down into turn 1. Through turn 1 they go. Lee Horn stays in 2nd at the moment. There is a position swap. William Chadwick has already passed Bud Dobson for 9th position. And up into the top 10 he goes. And he's going to catch up with Paul Scott rather swiftly here, as Paul Scott went wide going through turn 3 there. But William Chadwick, what a night he's having. And this is going from better to better. Can he get himself past Paul Scott? He can. He's on the inside. And into 8th place he goes. 14 places gained already for William Chadwick. Can he get a three-peat tonight? It remains to be seen, but it's looking good so far. At the front, we have got Lee Horn, Aidan Wilson, Jamie Dory, and Chris Staines at the front. Oh, and a big nudge from Aidan Wilson on Lee Horn there, Paul. It's hottening up here at the front as Jamie Dory goes for a move on Aidan Wilson now.
Yes, and the challenge will be for Dory. Can he get himself fully along the inside here of what is Aidan Wilson? He rubbed the toe of his teammate Lee Horn as they come down to turn 1. On the brakes they go here, and I think Wilson's going to find himself high and dry on the outside. He will try and carry the momentum down into turn 3. Wilson's not giving this up, and the HSR2 driver here comes back very quickly. A beautiful return pass there by Wilson as they roll down through turns 4 and into 5, 6 they come. But every moment these two fight, of course, it does mean that Lee Horn gets some space to go chase after Chris Daines, who is only 7 tenths of a second up the road. A bit further back as well, we do have, I believe that's Liam McNeilly trying to find his way back past Dobson, who actually got ahead of him at the end of the start-finish line last time around, and as they made their way out of what is turn 7 and down towards 9 here, it's the case we have William Chadwick trying to go around the outside of Rob McGregor. The two pros battle, and well, Rob McGregor I think backs it off there, as meanwhile behind Delmont comes roaring on through like a lion as well under the braking, and as they make their way out the corner, Delmont up to a P9 as he gets ahead of the Hammer Paul Scott. They all come charging across that timing line once again, but a lot of the pros trying to come through very quickly here. They do not want Daines to get up to momentum, and we can see here Aidan Wilson really trying to put a staple on to say that I want to be on this podium come the end of this. He's not letting Jamie Dory go.
Yeah, to be honest, when Jamie Dory passed Aidan Wilson, I thought Wilson might drop off the pack here, but he's hung on in there. Brilliant undercut on Jamie Dory on the previous lap, and he's hanging on to the back of Lee Horn, who as well is hanging on to the back of Chris Staines, but wide there goes Jamie Dory and Aidan Wilson there in 3rd and 4th. This gives a bit of a breather to Lee Horn in 2nd place here, although Aidan Wilson still seems to be up in the ante, as he was right on the rear of Lee Horn, who had to go defensive to the hairpin there. Round the hairpin they go, and there's no moves just yet from them. But look who is catching up. William Chadwick is really close to the rear of this pack here. Chris Staines moving across the track there to break drivers out of his toe. He wants to break away from this pack. He knows Chadwick is coming. He knows Delmont's coming. He knows McNeilly's going to come eventually. He wants these guys behind him to battle, and to be fair, it seems to be going that way, where these drivers are going to be battling intensely for this 2nd place.
Oh, indeed, and just a bit further back, Dan Skinner going side by side, battling with William Chadwick there, and well, Chadwick has found his way through. They went side by side through the chicane, would you believe it? And Liam McNeilly does a bit of rallycross, but we look back here and look at this, Alex, as Chadwick tries to go round outside to inside to outside here. Lovely. And well, Skinner was never going to let him have it easy, but Chadwick just a man possessed to gain places each and every corner. Yeah,
Chadwick, you know, he's just in a league of his own here tonight. So far it's getting my driver for the day award, but it's a bit early to tell for that. Now we have got battle on for 2nd place here. Aidan Wilson has his nose ahead as he comes across the timing beam. Into turn 1 we go. He has the inside. Lee Horn tries to hold the outside, but no, Wilson gets ahead. This has been a brilliant few laps from Aidan Wilson. Really fought back here against the NXTGEN drivers, who have got to work together now to get themselves up the order. They know the Fordzilla drivers are coming. They know they're coming for them very fast. As wide there goes Lee Horn. That's going to allow Jamie Dory through, which it does. Oh, and Jamie Dory very close to his teammate there. It's close to the door of Lee Horn going into the corner there. But Dory puts himself into 3rd place, back to where he finished in race 1. So this will be pleasing for Jamie Dory, but he'll have his sights set on Aidan Wilson and Chris Staines ahead, who he has beaten at some point tonight, both of them drivers, so he knows he can get the pace on them. Let's see how he gets on.
Oh, indeed, and a little bit further back, I can tell you one driver who's really struggling to make progress at the moment, Liam McNeilly. He's made it to P9, and we thought after he passed Rob McGregor, it was all said and done, but McGregor is giving him no quarter as they make their way down to turn 1. McNeilly on the inside here, but McGregor every time.
Oh, no!
Oh, my goodness, and they've come together there through turn 1 into 2.
Oh, dear me. Rob McGregor, I don't think he gave much room on the inside too. Liam McNeilly, we got to go back a little bit further than that, unfortunately. But yeah, it was very close between them. So here we go. Rob McGregor says this is my turf, and it kind of is. But Liam McNeilly keeps holding the inside, late breaking into turn 1. Oh no, he hits the curb and he goes into Rob McGregor. So Stu, apologise for the comment then, but the curb spat out Liam McNeilly into Rob McGregor, and it sends them both damaged and into the wall. So McNeilly drops to 15th with a lot of damage on his car. Rob McGregor has dropped out of contention. He's put himself back to the pits via the tow. And that'd be a bad night for Rob McGregor when he was hoping for a pretty good night on home turf here, Paul.
Indeed, I think that Rob McGregor was taking the approach of it was going to go one of two ways. Either McNeilly had to back out, or the two of them were going to come to blows. A bit, in a way, Senna Prost-esque there in terms of the battle into turn one. Albeit, I think McNeilly at the same time will be thinking to himself, did I really need to launch it over the curb there when all is said and done? But both drivers in the heat at the moment, they wanted to go for it. And in the end, we saw the spectacle of the contact between them. But both are going to drop key points in this third race. But to their loss, it's to others' gain. And right now, of course, Chadwick will have a little bit less pressure on his mind, perhaps. Again, his teammates no longer up there. Of course, he want his teammate to do well, but he won't have to think about fast drivers coming up behind him. As we see McLaughlin here from Def Sim Racing, well, he's still holding on to P6. That's the lead of the AM class you're looking at right now. And the debutant here, well, he had a disaster of a race too, but he's bouncing back here in race number 3.
He is, and you called it in race 2 and you kind of jinxed him, but he's doing rather well here. Let's see if he can keep it up. Not trying to jinx him again, of course, but oh, a bit of a dive there from Skinner, just about missed out. But also in second place is his teammate. Was his teammate anyway. He's dropped behind Giancarlo Scula here, but Bud Dobson is also running well in the AM category here, so a good showing from the DSR drivers here in this race. But Giancarlo Scula, what a night he's having in the AM category. Second place in category now as he sets his sights on trying to catch up with Mark Anthony McLaughlin a couple of 100 metres up the road from him, who is battling with Delmont and ahead of him Dan Skinner. So out of the hairpin we go. Delmont will need to pick up the pace a little bit. He's gained a lot of places to be creditful to him, but William Chadwick has gained 19 to just stretch away from Delmont. And he's now rapidly approaching the top spots here. He's made his way past Jamie Dory in the last lap or so. Here is the replay of the move. And we'll revert back as Chadwick is probably going to make quick progress of this. And it is Jamie Dory running wide, coming out of the chicane. And Chadwick takes it away. Very easy pickings for him. Jamie Dory, to be fair, tried to fight back, but Chadwick just about put his car in the right place to keep it ahead of Jamie Dory. So here we go. Real close to the top two here. William Chadwick already takes to the right side of Aidan Wilson, which will be the inside for the hairpin. This will be a move for second place from William Chadwick. Into the hairpin we go. Oh, and Wilson's trying desperately to hang on to it, and very slow on the apex there was Chris Daines. So now Chadwick is almost pushing him up the hill as Wilson is fighting back on the four-cylinder driver here. 3 wide heading up the straight here. We got Jamie Dory joining in as well. Nearly made it a 4 wide, but here we go into turn 1. Daines has the inside. Oh, and backing out of it is Chadwick. You know what? That might have been Chadwick thinking, I'll get this move done another corner here. As through into the lead goes Aidan Wilson. He's the one who braved it on the outside, late braking, and through into the lead he goes. That could have ended in tears there, Paul, but drivers were very sensible there.
Oh, indeed, all 3 drivers showing great awareness of one another, but with Aidan Wilson taking the lead of this race, I mean, we've seen, Alex, just how strong his defensive driving is. I mean, he was able to really come back at Dorian Horn, and look, he's running away with things. As we see, Daines now having to go defensive here versus Chadwick, and I think Daines is worried about Chadwick's pace. I don't think he feels like he can come back at the... Oh, my goodness, and he's gone in very deep into the hairpin, and what was looking to be a good run for Aidan Wilson has now been turned backwards, and, well, I think Chris Daines there just miscalculated that braking zone a little bit, because as we take a look back here, I mean, Wilson's minding his own business, and then Daines will see him come right up the right hand side here very late on the brakes. You can see what Wilson was going for, and Daines has just come in a bit too hot on the brakes.
Oh no, that's a silly mistake, unfortunately, from Daines. He definitely didn't intend to do that, but it has compromised Wilson's race, and I think Daines has actually backed off to let Wilson back through, so credit to Daines for doing that. But it does put in the clear William Chadwick. He puts himself in the lead, and he's on his way to a 3-peat. But who can deny him? At the moment, it might be Jamie Dory who's the only person who can deny him. Can Jamie Dory put the laps in to catch up with Chadwick and bring the battle to him? Adam Delmont has been catching bit by bit this front 3 here, and with the battling that they were doing on the previous lap, Delmont has gained rapidly on these. He's now less than 3 seconds behind the leader. So Delmont really putting in a good race here. 17 places gained to William Chadwick's 21 places gained. So very good showing from Delmont here today. He wanted a better meeting and he's had one here. Race 1 didn't quite go to plan, but 2 and 3 definitely have gone to plan.
Oh, most definitely, Alex. And meanwhile, whilst we're looking at the battle towards the front of the field in the Pro class, I can tell you that Schuler's had an off in the battle for the podium of what is the AM class, and he's dropped back to P3 in the class, P13 overall, and Dobson has made his way back up, and this was only moments ago. A bit of snap oversteer, and he's had to try and correct it, and in the process, he's taken to what is the grass there, and he's probably about to give a great car control there to snap the car back together. That could have been fatal to his racing aspirations in this race number 3, but now he's got to go hunting after Dobson again, but he is closing on Dobson very rapidly, and also Dobson's got to deal with Lease up the road, who I think is finding himself in a bit of a battle with Danes.
Yes, Danes 2 cars ahead of him, Michael Lease just ahead of him. They're not in the same category as Dobson, but Dobson second place with his teammate up the road in first. This is a dream debut for the Def Sim Racing team. Fantastic from them. Can they hang on to it? We'll find out. Liam McNeilly is out of this race. Something happened to him a few laps ago while we were watching the battle unfold at the front, but this is what happened to Liam McNeilly. He's a long way down at this point. I think that's Nigel Stock and Tom Delaney. No, that's Ollie Peters and Tom Delaney up ahead. Oh, and Liam McNeilly just comes to a stop and decides to take it back to the pits. Car might be too damaged, but that sent him out of this race. And I was going to mention this earlier with Liam McNeilly. You needn't worry about this race, this round too much, as there are drop rounds in this championship. So basically what that means is your one worst score of the season will be reverted to 0. So basically everyone has their 9 best rounds contributing to the championship. So this could be Liam McNeilly's drop round. It certainly won't be William Chadwick's though, as he leads the way at the front, nearly 2 seconds clear of Jamie Dory. I think this might be one of the most relaxing drives from here on anyway for William Chadwick, and I'm trying to think back through drivers who have won a 3-peat of wins in this series in the past, Paul. Does anybody in any race come to mind for you?
I'm thinking, well, the only one, was it Bathurst? Did Liam McNeilly make it 3 out of 3, or was that 2 wins and a very well-placed podium? But Liam McNeilly did pick up a triplet at one point, if I remember correctly.
Yes, I think it was Bathurst, actually. But, yeah, Fordzilla, the 3-peat champions, it seems. I haven't quite seen Chadwick drive like what he has tonight. It's been a superb showing from him, hasn't it?
Oh, it has indeed. He's really been on fine form, and Jamie Dory not able to touch him. But speaking of touching one another, right now in terms of battling, we can see that it's Dobson battling with Schuler, and it's the case that Dobson, well, he hasn't quite got the pace to hold off the American, but he's battling hard. Oh, goodness, I say that. He gives a tap there to Lease, who goes off, and Lease under pressure. Well, he was going a bit slowly, but that's no excuse for the contact there. And I think Dobson just in a heat at the moment, couldn't find where to put the car, so instead he put it to the inside of turn 3. Unfortunately, he found the rear quarter panel of Lease's car, but he's given him the space, and Schuler now surely will be released to go chasing after McLaughlin, who is 3.5 seconds up the road.
Yes, absolutely. That gives a bit of a free pass to Schooler to go up ahead. He's got Danes in between him and McLaughlin, but he's got just over 5 minutes to go to try and take that AM category win. It'd be a very, very good night for Schooler if he can get it done. Let's keep an eye on them. Let's see what else is going on track. There's not many particularly close battles happening right now. We've got Adam Delmont trying to catch up with his teammate Jamie Dory here, so might be a bit of team orders at play here. Having said that, they're both Team Orange drivers for Next Gen Racing, and they're both going to get good points in out of this race. Lee Horn is also Team Next Gen Orange. So good haul of points for them in this race in particular, particularly as the Fordzilla drivers are halved with McNeilly retiring from this race. So they'll be particularly focused on that. But what I was going to mention is, are they going to position swap here? Is Dory going to let Delmont by to try and go for Chadwick, or is there not enough time remaining? What do you reckon, Paul?
I would say they should do the swap come the end of this lap, because looking at the lap times right now, it is the case that Delmont is on average half a tenth, if not a tenth faster per lap. I mean, on that last lap alone, 55.3 for Delmont versus a 55.4 for Chadwick. So they would be silly not to gamble on the dice. They could always sort the places back towards the end with 4.5 minutes to go. That's effectively 4 laps remaining here, and they might as well throw the dice at it. And well, on top of that as well, Lee Horn right now has got a growing problem behind him, and that is John Higgins Jr., who's getting very close to the back of him in that battle for P4. So Lee Horn's really got to act as the rear gunner here as they come down to the hairpin. It's already on. Can HSR1 make the move for P4? Well, he's going to go for the cutback and try to get the momentum, and there's the case. Lee Horn just getting a little bit of snap oversteer on the exit, and that's going to cost him the run. But Higgins came up too soon, so he's hooked him behind Lee Horn. Now, where's Lee Horn going to put the car? He'll put it in the middle, slightly off towards the inside, into one, and now Will Higgins try and go all the way around the outside. It's going to be brave stuff. They give one just enough room, and John Higgins Jr. goes for it, gets it done through too, and now up into P4 here. And I think Lee Horn, we did his best to go defensive, but Higgins gave it everything. As we take a look back here at what's happened, well, that was Michael Lees, but just looking at this, Alex, I mean, what a brave move from Higgins Jr.
Yeah, brilliant move. Higgins Jr. has been very good tonight, particularly on his overtakes. Gained a lot of positions throughout the night, 15 in this race alone. But that's a superb move on Lee Horn. I know Lee Horn quite well, and he does pride himself on giving racing room to other drivers. Oh, and he doesn't then, as he hits the rear of Higgins, sends him round, and that has spelled lots of trouble for Higgins as he's dropped down to 6th now. Very uncharacteristic move from Lee Horn there. It definitely was a pure mistake. Now let's take a quick look at Lee Horn here. He just brakes too late going into the corner here. Here we go. On the brakes now. Yeah, much later than Higgins, and could not get the car stopped in time. But we were just mentioning Higgins having a great night. And overtakes-wise, along with Chadwick and Delmont, he's been pretty much the mastermind of them. So this could be the start of what could be a pretty good season for Higgins Jr. He started off last season trying to establish himself in the league, but this season is the one he's going to hard hit everyone.
Oh, most definitely. I think it really is the case that Higgins Jr. really building that momentum and making himself a major contender, not necessarily for wins at the moment, but definitely for battling to be in that top 5, if not having that shot at the podium. And well, another driver right now who's had a huge opportunity gifted to him because of that contact, and to be fair, I don't think he's going to sneeze on it. That's Wayne Douglas, currently P4 overall, P4 in the Pro Class, and he has had a very difficult night. Races 1 and 2 have not gone the way of the number 66 driver, but in this one, he's just kept his head down, got on with it, stayed out of trouble, and right now, if things were to finish as they are, he would be on for a season best performance of P4 in the Pro Class, and I think he'd walk away from Knockhill with that P4 and take it very gladly. Yeah,
he's I have clocked his position gains throughout the night, and they've often been in the positives. They've often been in the double digits as well. So Wayne Douglas has put in a good showing tonight, and I think he can pride himself on 4th in this race if it does indeed finish that way. Will Chadwick crosses the line? There'll be 2 laps to go for him now as he crosses the line, and these are pretty much victory laps for him. He's 5 seconds clear of nearest rival Jamie Dory, who's gonna head home with potentially with a 2nd podium tonight. And the same goes for Adam Delmont. Next Gen have had a good night here in the form of Delmont and Jamie Dory. Little bit of a scruffy first race for Adam Delmont, unfortunately, and Jamie Dory in the 2nd race, but they can be pleased with the amount of points they've gained tonight.
Indeed, I think they can, but as the camera pans to Giancarlo Schuler here, he's made the move on McLaughlin, and whilst we were focusing on the next gen drives, I think it is the case that McLaughlin has been involved in a bit of a battle with Danes. We take a look back here into turn 1 they go, and Schuler here, to be fair, running inside to outside to inside. The 2 of them showing great racing room, and McLaughlin, he could have made that more difficult if he tried, but it would have been a risk of contact. And I think for McLaughlin, the Def Sim racing driver, he knows a P2 is absolute bliss today. He would have loved to take the win versus Schuler, but Schuler does seem to be on another level, and right now Def Sim Racing are looking at a P2, P4 in the AM class. Although I say that, it's almost as if the commentator's curse applies every time we take a look at a driver who with praise in, and well, now Schuler is on his way for Team Watson Racing ASR to take that win. Only 1 more lap to go as the white flag's out.
Yeah, Schuler got pole position in the AM category last time out of the Red Bull Ring, but only managed a best 3rd place in race 2 last time out. So tonight, 1st, 2nd and 1st. That's a big haul of points for him in category. Might see him to the top of the standings in the championship. But we cut away here William Chadwick is heading towards the final corner. The last time there was a three-peat, I believe it was Bathurst with Liam McNeilly, his teammate. Chadwick puts himself in that historic reign of drivers who've achieved that. Chadwick, what a drive from him in this race. What a drive in the previous race, and what a drive in race 1. All night it's been brilliant from the Fordzilla driver. He takes the win in race 3 here. Jamie Dory takes a second podium of the night, and as does Adam Delmont, making it a successful Next Gen racing night for themselves. Higgins Jr. takes 4th place in the end, with Wayne Douglas taking 5th position. A strong night for him as well. Dan Skinner in 6th with Lee Horn. A little bit of a mistake involving him and Higgins in the hairpin, but Lee Horn gets a good haul of points in this 3rd race. Chris Daines takes 8th place, and first in the AM category goes to John Carlos Schuler there. And that'll be 1st, 2nd and 1st for him tonight. A near perfect night for himself. Mark Anthony McLaughlin on his debut takes a 2nd place in the category in this race and a top 10 overall. So a big congratulations to him. Michael Leese takes 11th place. He's had a bit of an unlucky night, but he'll be pleased with the result here, 11th overall. John Higgins Sr. 3rd in category in the AM category and 12th overall. Bud Dobson couldn't hang on to a podium, but he'd be pleased with the performance he put in that final race. 13th overall for him. Paul Scott 5th. It's been a bit of an up and down night for him. He did pretty good in race 2. But race 3 here, 5th place, he'd be pleased with that. Nigel Stott getting a 6th place in the end. But we'll round off the results here before we head into the interviews, as I've just been doing there. We'll carry on from where we were. Jeff Perkins takes 16th position. Not a good night for him, unfortunately, with Ollie Peters. An up and down night for him. He won race 2 in the AM category. The 17th for him in this race. Tom Delaney 18th with Alan Mccain in 19th. 20th goes to Rob McGregor. A bad night for the Scotsman here. 21st to Aidan Wilson. Sam Smith 22nd. And 23rd. And a non-finisher, Liam McNeilly. Well, we've had quite the night, haven't we, Paul? It's for some drivers it's been a very successful night. For some drivers it's been a very bad night, hasn't it? It's either one or the other across the field.
Well, indeed, I agree with you there, Alex. I mean, if you look at William Chadwick, the perfect night, and well, I'd have to agree with your comment that you made earlier, well on his way to driver of the day, and I would give him the driver of the day accolade. I mean, just absolutely flawless from Chadwick, and well, taking all the points that are up for grabs there in the Pro Class. Meanwhile, at the other end of the spectrum, I mean, his teammate Liam McNeilly with that retirement in race number 3, and that's some major points dropped, but keeping it outside of the Team Fordzilla drivers, I mean, another driver who had a very difficult day, Aidan Wilson. It was looking such a strong performance in race number 3, and it all went away. But those drivers who had a difficult day today, Rob McGregor another one, Tom Delaney as well. Tom Delaney having 3 incidents in 3 races, unless I'm mistaken. They'll be thinking, right, how do I bounce back in round 3? Because it is a 10-round series with 1 drop round, but we've still got plenty of mileage to go. It's not as though it's over yet after only 2 rounds.
Absolutely. We are going to get some interviews in here, and first and foremost we are going to speak to the man who picked up the 3-peat of wins tonight, Will Chadwick. Unstoppable tonight, mate. How does it feel?
Thank you very much. Yeah, really good. I told my engineer after last round didn't go so well that I'd win all 3 races tonight, and it seems to have come true somehow.
Well, right you were indeed. So heading into this 3rd race here, you had to get from the back of the grid, of course, with the reverse grid. Did you think it was coming? Was there a part of you was thinking, not sure if this is going to happen today, particularly as the safety car come out, but you were so high on momentum, were you quietly confident?
I think going into the race, I knew I had a chance, but I was looking at people that were up near the front, like Jamie, who had pace. Also, who else would it as well? Chris as well. I thought had a good bit of pace. So I wasn't so sure if I could quite do the 3-peat, but after the safety car period, seeing that I was in 12th, you know, we resumed after 18 minutes, and I thought, well, I went from 15th to first. In the first little bit with Adam nearly up front for a lot of it, so why can't I do it again? So I just went for it really, and just made sure I made some clean moves, avoided any crashes that happened, and just kept me stateless.
It's been a brilliant night for you, but for your teammate Liam McNeilly, sadly, it hasn't quite gone to plan. But are you guys citing a very successful campaign for Fordzilla? Because so far, so good for you two.
I think you need to take every race as it comes. You're going to have some of these bad rounds at time to time. So sometimes stuff doesn't quite go your way. I mean, Liam's a really, really fast driver. He put it on pole with not much practice whatsoever coming back from a test day to day in real life. So, you know, he's a wonderful driver, and I'm sure he'll be back out next time. And also respect him as well, because we had an amazing battle in race 1, showing that you can battle around here even though it's really tight.
Certainly is, certainly is. Next time out, we're at Brands Hatch, and I believe it's the Grand Prix circuit, so another British track. How is that track for yourself?
Just had the final round of the Porsche Esports Cup Great Britain there, so I do quite like the track. But I imagine Liam will be quick, because I think that's his home track, to be honest, or one of the tracks he's been to the most. So I expect Liam to be strong, but we'll give it a good go. Probably Slipstream's a bit more important there, and you've got less mistake generators in the layout of the track, so I think we'll have a bit of closer racing.
Excellent stuff. Before you shoot off, Will, anybody you want to give a shout out to? Friends, family, fans, sponsors?
Yeah, thanks to Team Fordzilla, everyone behind the scenes, Miguel, Jose, thank you to Liam, being an excellent teammate, thank you to the team sponsor, Next Level Racing, as well. Thank you very much, guys. Really appreciate it. Thank you for the commentary, Alex. Thank you for the commentary, Paul. And yeah, see you guys next week.
No problem at all. And just to give you a bit of news, I think you are only the second person to achieve a three-peat of wins in NXTGEN iRacing history. So congratulations, Will.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
We'll see you next time. Thank you.
Yeah.
There we go. So Will Chadwick there, Paul. Historic night, really, for the MX-5 Cup here, isn't it?
Indeed, it is the case that he is the first of our drivers in this season 2 to achieve a triplet of wins in a single round, and also only one of 2 drivers now to be in that history book, of course, with Liam McNeilly making the triplet in season 1. And well, what a night for Fordzilla as well, in terms of being able to say that they are the only the only team that has drivers with that accolade. And well, I think Chadwick has really kicked off his campaign tonight with regards to that triplet of wins. Of course, he's saying that he's expected his teammate McNeilly to be strong when we go to Brands Hatch in a week's time. So it's not the case that McNeilly's out there, but well, Chadwick has shone. If we had any doubt, if any of you watching had any doubt as to whether he was in the shadow of his teammate, that shadow is well and truly obliterated.
Yeah, absolutely. He proved himself thoroughly tonight, didn't he? I wouldn't say I thought it, but there might have been a lot of people that thought, well, McNeilly's the #1 driver here. You know, like how you compare the Verstappens to Perez or Leclerc to Sainz, you know. But Chadwick has really proved tonight that he can contend at the front. He can contend with every single person in this league. But let's move on to our next interview here. So I'm going to bring in Jamie Dory here, who has picked up a double podium tonight, Jamie. Apart from race 2, a good night for yourself. Would you agree?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. It's I don't mind Knockhill, but yeah, not too shabby.
Excellent stuff. So yeah, race 1, a good qualifying performance for yourself, and then in race 3, you had to fight your way through a little bit. You had your teammate Lee Horn helping you out a little bit at the front there, and then Adam helping you out at the end. It seems to be clicking together for this NXTGEN team in this round here.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Lee was quite helpful, as he always is. I wouldn't say Adam was helping out. Adam was going for the overall glory, but we were chatting, and there was racing respect there. But there was a few bumps and defensive manoeuvres. At the end of the day, we all want to take the flag in the team, really, so to speak.
Absolutely, and well, all 3 of you got a pretty good result in that final race there. You got 2nd, 3rd and 7th, I do believe, so that gets you a good haul of points in the team's championship. Is that something you're thinking about maybe more than the Drivers' Championship? I mean, no offense to anyone, the Fordzilla guys look like they're in a league of their own at the moment, but NXTGEN could well and truly be on their way to glory in the team's championship. Is that something you're going to have your sights set on?
Yeah, obviously both things are in contention. I mean, yeah, the Fordzilla boys are quick. Very quick. However, you know, we can all, if we all have a clean race, I think we're all fairly close on times. You know, they're racing each other quite hard in race 1 and managed to pull a few of us towards them. So anything's open, but yeah, I mean, teams obviously a good solid teams all constantly, and hoping for some bad luck to others. Yeah, wherever we can take really.
Great stuff. Next week we've got Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit, I do believe. How is that track for yourself?
I like Brands Hatch. I've not driven him in the Mazdas, but we'll find out.
I'm sure we will. We've raced it plenty of times on Race Room, haven't we? So, yeah, not unfamiliar territory for yourself. But before you head off, Jamie, our league host for the season, anybody you want to give a shout out to? Fans, friends, family, sponsors, etc.?
Well, thanks to everyone involved. As always, numbers are a bit low this week for turning up. Thanks to you guys and Next Gen Racing and Crest TV. Thank you all.
No problem at all, and thank you, Jamie. We'll see you next time at Brands.
See you later.
There we go. So, yeah, there we go. That's been two of the big performances in the pro category. But, Paul, I believe you would like to speak to one of the AM category triumphants tonight.
Indeed, I've just been messaging Giancarlo Schuler, and as we bring our AM driver into the interview room, Giancarlo, have to say, fantastic performances across the races tonight, and particularly what was a superb drive to the result in race number 3, driving to that win in the end. How does it feel to have picked up some great performances here at Knockhill?
It feels great. Didn't have the best of luck in round 1 at the Red Bull Ring. Got crashed out in race 3 and just had bad luck throughout the whole entire round. So I'm super happy to come back here round 2, wash that first round away and get some good results.
Indeed, and having a bounce back from round number 1, we saw the difficulties you had there. Of course, we start off at the Red Bull Ring, which was a circuit dominated by straights, but it looked as though you were more in your element here today at Knockhill, it being a bit more of a corner-orientated circuit, plus also some nasty curbs. Does this feel, I know it's a long way away from the United States to America, but does this feel a bit more like home territory in terms of the circuit layout?
Yeah, I did like it a lot more than Red Bull Ring. Definitely focuses more on driver skill than the Red Bull Ring does. I think we had, quite a fair amount of incidents last week at the Red Bull Ring. I think that's mainly due to draft. So I think this cleaned it up due to the fact that it was more short straights.
Oh, indeed. And in terms of the spreader results day, winner in the AM category in both races 1 and 3. Starting off with that race 1 in particular, we saw a great battle between yourself and a good number of the AM drivers throughout there. Was it the case that you were finding that that was sort of right up there in terms of the pace, or was it one of those situations whereby you felt as though you had more pace to deliver, it was just you finding yourself in those scrappy battles? Because Knockhill leads to a lot of side-by-side racing.
Yeah, I was just trying to get a good result today. I wasn't trying to push the agenda or anything. I was trying to just keep it clean, keep out the wall, get some solid results, and luckily they all worked out and the moves were made. So yeah.
Now, you say that in race number 3, we did see for a long time Mark McLaughlin leading in the AM class, but you seem to be reeling him in lap after lap, albeit with some very difficult side-by-side battling between yourself and the likes of Bud Dobson, also Staines from the pro class to an extent. When you could see the leader not too far away from you, I think it was 3.5 seconds at the midpoint of the race, were you starting to think to yourself, the win's on here, surely?
Yeah, I thought I had it about 10 minutes in, and I made a mistake coming up the last corner, lost a fair bit of time, and after that I was just head down. I was doing whatever it takes. I think I passed even, like you said, a pro car at some point, just to get to McLaughlin to get that win.
Oh, indeed, and it was a superb drive there in race 3, and now looking ahead to next week when we head to Brands Hatch, so we head to the southeastern edge of the United Kingdom for a circuit close to my personal heart. How are you feeling for the British circuit?
To be honest, I'm kind of nervous. There's a lot of British guys in this league. I think I am the only American, so probably, a little bit away from home here, but hoping for a good result again.
Well, indeed, if you deliver as you did tonight, there's no reason why you can't have a fantastic result. But before we do let you go, is there anybody you'd like to say thank you to or give a shout out to on the broadcast?
I'd like to thank All Sports Racing and Team Watson Racing for sponsoring me. I'd like to thank my mom and dad for always supporting me, along with my girlfriend, who always helps me out and helps me through things. So, yeah, that's about it.
Well, I'm sure they'll appreciate that. But with that, Giancarlo, thank you for joining us in the interview room. Congratulations on your results today, and we look forward to seeing you out on circuit in a week's time.
Thanks, guys.
No problem. So hearing that from Giancarlo Schuler, Alex, I mean, that enthusiasm behind him, I mean, the only American in this grid of drivers, but he really seems to establish himself after that difficult time at the Red Bull Ring. Well, he may have been miles from home on the Scottish asphalt of what is Knockhill, but he made it home today.
Yeah, absolutely. He can wave his flag with pride tonight. He's done very, very well in tonight's races. He's put himself well and truly in that fight for the AM category championship. So he can be very pleased with what he's taken out of tonight. He just kept his nose out of trouble. I was just, while you were talking to him, I was just watching him weave through the crowd here. We can see him getting around Michael Lees and Bud Dobson here, and he just knew where to put his car at the right time tonight. So I think if we didn't give William Chadwick driver of the day, I think Giancarlo Scuola will also be a good candidate for driver of the day tonight.
Oh, definitely. I'd agree with you on that. And if you had to give it between classes, he'd be our AM driver of the day by far, because what a superb performance. Yeah,
absolutely. He's near perfect night, as I mentioned just a few moments ago. So yeah, we'll see how he does at Brands Hatch. He feels like a bit of a duck in water, as far as Gump would say, but he's not scared to get his elbows out, get stuck into the racing here. It's good to see. It's real good to see. Let's move on to our final interview of the night. Because we're just past 10 o'clock here, we'll get one more in. And there's someone I want you to interview, Paul, and it's John Higgins Jr., because we saw him having a brilliant race in race 3, if you remember rightly there. Did have an incident, and he brought it back, didn't he?
Oh, indeed, he did. And, well, it's the case. Coming home in what was, in the end, unless I'm mistaken, P4 overall. A superb drive from the junior member of the Higgins family. And, well, we seem to have brought him into the interview. John, a very challenging night for yourself out there on the Knockhill circuit. I appreciate it has not all gone your way, but a very dogged set of performances in the end and a superb race 3 result. How's your night been from your perspective?
Yeah, 3 good results compared to last week at Red Bull Ring. I just couldn't put the car together, but 2 P4s and a P5, I think, from the back of the grid. Considering I got caught up in the incident at the start of the race, I had to pit and just got my head down and yeah.
Indeed, and well, just dissecting that for a moment, we saw in qualifying didn't quite go your way. It seemed as though every time you were on a lap, either a little mistake crept in or a bit of traffic came up. Just take us through, was it a frustrating qualifying session for yourself, or was it more a case of, you know what, I'll take it as it is and I'll see what I can do in the races?
Well, I'll take it as it is. Knockhill's just going to be a close race throughout, so I thought, let's just see how it is, because I can never qualify in any other races, so I just thought, screw it, let's just go for it, and it sort of worked out. So,
well, that's fair play. And then translating it into the race, of course, as you were saying there, the fact that race 1, very difficult race, incidents galore, particularly on the opening couple of laps, but still pushing through to finish inside the top 5. Did that sort of build you into the races we're on? So in terms of build your confidence, you know what, the results are going to come here, I've just got to keep pushing for them.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely had loads of confidence in the races, but if a faster car came up behind me, I let them go. Then we just tag along together to try and catch the lead group, which sort of happened in race 1 when I let Adam Delmont through and we caught the leading pack, but a bit of contact on the last lap between myself and Adam, but yeah, it was good.
Oh, indeed, we did see that mad scramble through the chicanes on the final lap where all 5 of you coming together within a second of one another and that unfortunate contact. But then carrying that momentum into race 2, particularly with the reverse grid. Just take us through those reverse grids, of course, a huge challenge for any driver, but particularly for yourself starting towards the back. How does your mindset change in those reverse grid races? Because you seem to just find a way to slice and dice your way through the order.
Yeah, in the last race, the second race, I was just following Liam McNeilly through because he's quite a quick boy, but yeah, it's just luck really around this track, not getting crashed into, but yeah, it's good.
Oh, indeed. And then race number 3, of course, the 25-minute race with that safety car. We saw a number of moments there where it was right on the edge, but it did seem as though you revelled in race number 3. Was it perhaps your proudest of the 3 races tonight?
Yeah, definitely. I felt on it in race 3. After I come out the pits, I was like, full send, let's just go, and it finally paid off. A bit of unlucky contact with Lee Horn, but he apologised, and it's just happens, I guess.
Oh, indeed. And that P4 in the end overall in race number 3, giving you some good points in both the Drivers' Championship for yourself and also the HSR team going into the next round and now round number 3. And of course, we head to the southeastern edge of the United Kingdom for Brands Hatch in a week's time. How are you feeling for the Brands Hatch circuit?
Confident. I like Brands Hatch. I think it requires more of slipstream around that track, where this track didn't really require that. You could set a fast time without having to have a tow, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I quite like that track.
Oh, well, that's absolutely brilliant to hear. And before we do let you go, is there anybody you would like to say thank you to or give a shout out to on the broadcast tonight?
Just the HSR boys, Aidan Wilson, Rob McGregor, and John Higgins, and also my mates Phil and Joe who are watching from home.
Oh, well, I'm sure they'll appreciate that. And, well, with that, John, thank you for joining us in the interview room. Congratulations on your triplet of top 5 finishes, and we look forward to seeing you take to the Brands Hatch circuit in a week's time.
Yes.
So, there we go. That was John Higgins Jr. A very impressive night, particularly in race 4 there. 15 places gained there. But we have come to the end of our night here for the NXTGEN MX-5 Cup here at Knockhill. So, final thoughts, Paul?
Well, it was quite a lot of battling today. It wasn't the case it was slipstream. It was more side by side, and, well, Scotland the Brave all the way in terms of did drivers have the confidence to hang it around the outside or take it out the inside into corners. But in the end, it produced some fantastic battling up and down the order. And, well, we have seen some drivers really come to the fore. William Chadwick grabbing all the headlines, Alex, but at the same time, some huge names appearing, such as John Higgins Jr. Also there, the drives from Giancarlo Schuler. I think we have got a cracker of a season ahead of us. If round 1 wasn't an indicator, round 2 has definitely cemented this is one you do not want to miss when we go to Brands Hatch in a week's time.
Yes, absolutely. And we will move on to Brands Hatch next. Here is the calendar here. Brands Hatch next, and then Alton Park in 2 weeks from today. 3 weeks from today is the 2-hour endurance at Spa. The second half of the season will take place at Silverstone National, Snetterton 200, Watkins Glen Cup layout, the Daytona Oval course, and Le Mans for another 2-hour endurance. This has been the NXTGEN Racing MX-5 Cup Round 2 here at Knockhill. I've been Alex Everett of Crest Autosport, and alongside me, Paul Walsh of TX141. You can catch NXTGEN Racing on NXTGEN TV tomorrow for the ACC Leagues, Wednesday for the Proto GT3 Leagues live, and the replay of the IMB Raceware server on Fridays, all of which Paul Walsh is commentating on, so do tune in to them. But from here at Knockhill, it's been a fantastic night for William Chadwick, and we'll see you next time at Brands Hatch. Thank you for watching. Good night.